What up? What it do? You already know what it is. It's week 4, not 1 to the 2 to the 3, but to the 4. It's the Eagles from the 5th floor, if you know what I mean. Jacksonville Jaguars this week. Toughest test so far. It's birds of a feather. Me, Chucks, Jake, Pete. Down at the bottom of the PY. Pete's stat. Pete squared. Let's go.
Let's go. This ain't the fuck like oh, this game he stink.
Oh shit!
It's gone.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Birds of a Feather on A2D Radio, brought to you by Manscaped. Get your 20% off plus free shipping with the code A2D at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code A2D at manscaped.com. It is time to throw out your old hygiene habits and upgrade your life. We are live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and everywhere you download your podcast. So if you're listening to us live right now on your commute in the morning or in the shower using those Manscaped products, we greatly appreciate your support. It's your boy Chucks again, back for another week. And as usual, I got my full array of guys here, the Birds of the Feather panel, minus Nate Moss, who will be on again, as always, a little late, but he will be part of the party coming up. First, to my left, Mr. Pete Evans, my OG brother. What is going on, man?
Good, man. As you guys all know, I tell the fam it's been a tough week. Last Saturday early, I lost my mother-in-law. We also lost a cousin. So it's been a tough week, but I'm happy to be here as a distraction. Everybody out there, give your people the flowers in your life when you love them. Don't wait. That's the best advice I can give you. But Eagles football, 3-0, possibly headed to 4-0. Interesting poll question tonight. So I'm just happy to be here, boys.
Very interesting. Below me.
Oh, Chris Kaufman says Tua had a seizure. Shit.
Oh my
geez.
God, really?
Yeah, the Amazon analyst was talking about the hand gestures he was making was from head trauma.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Prayers to Tua, man.
Yeah,
Prayers to
Do
Tua.
you guys think that the medical staff fucked up and they made him go out way too early?
They absolutely did. Yeah, but we'll get into it.
Let's get
They're
it
kind
done.
of in the system, Pete. Though they're kind of absolved because it's not on the Miami staff to deem that. That's why you have an independent neurologist there. That's what they're fucking there. That's what they're there for.
Yep.
Well,
okay.
below me here, Mr. Jake Frio. What's going on?
Good. Nothing much. Just enjoying some Thursday night football aside from something scary we just witnessed. So hopefully Tua is okay. Hopefully.
Yeah. And then perpendicular to my rectangle here,
Good
Mr.
word.
Pete Young. What's good, man? It feels like it's been forever since we've seen you.
So
But how's it going?
I'm trying to get healthy.
Trying to
yes.
I got my handy
on the
dandy
injury
inhaler.
report,
I
right?
got my handy dandy inhaler.
Did you ever get a diagnosis, PY, or no?
I went to urgent care and they gave me 0 answers. They're like, "Here's an inhaler." I'm like, "Okay." So I went to my doctor and they're like, "Maybe it's viral because I've been wheezing and shit, but I've also my body's kind of been felt hot over the last few weeks." And then a coworker at work is like, "Oh, I feel the same way," and I'm like, "Oh, okay. Maybe it's just change of the weather thing."
Interesting.
Wow. And very interesting. Well, I'm glad you're back. I hope you feel better and you're getting healthier.
Feels bad as Justin Fields plays.
There it is. Zing.
He's back.
We've got an action-packed show. We got a very interesting topic and poll question to lead off. We are going to talk about, of course, in the first quarter, our the Eagles' victory against the Commanders, another resounding victory for the second straight week. So we're going to give our reactions to that. In the second quarter, we are going to preview the upcoming matchup between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's going to be a really interesting matchup, especially because we've got our old head coach, Doug Pederson, coming back to Philadelphia. So that's one we are definitely going to have fun diving into. Third quarter, as always, we're going to turn the switch to the NFL, talk about anything league-wide, league matters, maybe even possibly dive into the Dolphin situation with Tua now. So what's going to happen, and what you alluded to, Mr. Young, should he have not gone back into that game? We'll talk about it, and we'll see what else comes up. And of course, our fourth and final segment in the fourth quarter, we've got No Huddle, where we talk about anything we want. So, but to start things off, our poll question for tonight, which is brought to you by All Campus, the home of A2D Rant Booth. Remember, they are giving they have 20% off everything in their store to all their subscribers. So our poll question, this 2022 Eagles team is better than the 2017 Super Bowl team. Agree or disagree? This is sure to ruffle some feathers because as I was typing this into our criteria, I was like, oh, people are going to get so mad. They're going to be like, it's too early. You're talking about the Super Bowl team. And so I'm sure this is going to ruffle feathers, going to have a lot of people a little annoyed or feel like this is nonsense. But let's get into it. And also, of course, guys, we will be giving our live reaction to the Thursday Night Football game, which so far has been pretty decent aside from the Tua injury. The teams are going back and forth. It's 14-6 right now. The Dolphins are trying to get some points on the board before halftime. And the Dolphins, one of the two last undefeated teams in the league, along with the Eagles. If they lose tonight, that leaves the Eagles all by themselves. So let's see what happens. But I'm sure the Bengals will want to get back on track and avoid being 1-3. Jeez, that would be really bad for the Super Bowl runner-ups. But let's go with the guy. Let's start off with Mr. Young, since you weren't here last week. We'll lead off with you, and then we'll go to Jake and then Pete. What is your take on the poll question? Do you think after this past week's victory, would you say this team is early as it is? Do you think this team is already showing signs of being better or more talented or better coached than the team back in 2017?
Are they better from what? Like from a talent standpoint, I do think they're better. I think they're better most likely at every position. Maybe safety. You can make an argument about whether or not they're weaker at safety. But, I do think they're a better football team. Are they going to have the type of impact the 2017 team had? I don't think so, just because I think everything that had to happen in that year was like once in a lifetime type of situation, like lightning in a bottle type of shit that you can't replicate. Like, it's like 2008 and 2011 when it comes to the Phillies. The 2011 team busts 2008 team's ass, but in terms of talent, but you just can't replicate. Just because you're a better team doesn't mean you're obviously going to be the more successful team.
Yeah, I like how you word that. Mm-hmm. So, all right, Jake.
Yeah, kind of picking up where Pete left off. I mean, pretty much every position they're better. I will piggyback off of Pete's point as well. I think the 2017 safeties were much better because you had Malcolm and Rodney. So, no disrespect to Marcus Epps and CGJ, but 2017 was definitely better. But other than that, I mean, as far as a talent perspective, Devontae, AJ compared to Alshon and Torrey Smith, I mean, I'm not saying it's night and day, but it's a lot better. But overall, just as from like a roster perspective, I'm going to have to agree with the poll. I think just from a talent perspective, our team currently is more talented than 2017. Not saying that they'll go as far as 2017, as much as I would love it, but talent-wise, just based on the 53-man roster we have right now, yeah, I have to agree to the poll.
All right, Mr. Evans, you're up. What say you?
Chicken shits. I absolutely fucking disagree to this poll. No way.
Blanket.
No way. Because of the fact of we say that now, but 5 years ago, that 2017 team, you had a 5 years younger Fletcher Cox. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Who was at his best? Brandon Graham. You also had Nigel Bradham as well. Now, linebackers on the outside, I can't remember the other one, but it doesn't matter. Safeties were better. Corners were a little tad off, but they weren't fucking crazy. You had a slot corner. I forget who he picked up from the Saints. I can't remember his name now. Patrick Robinson. You had Ronald Darby. And then you also had, who was the other corner?
Jalen Mills.
Yeah, but the thing is, the skill positions, you had Alshon Jeffrey coming in off his year. He was a free agent at that time. Best high point catch football wide receiver in the league, in my opinion. And Torrey Smith wasn't that great. And you had Zach Ertz in his fucking prime. Like Zach Ertz. If you're ever going to make an argument for Zach Ertz being the best tight end in the league, it was that fucking year because of just where he was at. 4 years in offensive line. I mean, you had Jason Peters. You had was Sam? Yes, Jason Peters. I'm saying who played. I'm talking about on paper. If we're looking at this at the talent, the starting five. You got Kelsey, Lane Johnson, Brandon fucking Brooks. Come on,
Brooks, yeah.
And Jason Peters. Who was the left guard?
Wisniewski.
Yeah, Wisniewski. Yep.
I mean, that's pretty much chalk. I say the D line may be slightly better on the 2017 team because you also had Chris Long as well. That was your other defensive end.
Oh, sure.
But when you look at, I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. I love what Jalen Hurts is doing. Bitch,
Touchdown, Dolphins.
Carson Wentz, 2017, that year, that was the closest thing that for 13 games that we saw the Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen type level of play. What we see, it didn't fucking matter. It didn't matter what you were doing, what scheme you were running. I remember we talked about this a couple of weeks ago when I think Pete was on the show 2 weeks ago, where we talked about at what point during that season made you believe. Honestly, for me, Thursday Night Football against Carolina. That was it.
Good one.
Okay. That's a really good one.
You see what I'm saying? That seam pass that he threw to Nelson Aguilar to score the touchdown. I think it was in the second half to go ahead.
Yep.
Great. Yeah. Nigel Bradham had 20 fucking tackles that game, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that, yeah.
So it was just ridiculous. I get it from the talent standpoint and what we see right now. We'd rather have that talent on this team versus that team, potentially. But let's not act like, I think recency bias is, let's not act like that 2017 team at that time we weren't feeling like this, because I remember that LeGarrette Blount signing in August of that offseason. We were like, okay, boom. Then you go ahead, you get Jay Ajayi during the season. Even that team at this point did not start 3-0 with the potential to go 4-0. At this point during that season, they were in the midst of what we were about to be going on, a 10-game win streak. I think they were 2-1 because they won week 1 and they lost to Kansas City in week 2 in a hard-fought game. And then bitch, it was off to the races for the next 10 weeks. And then Seattle happened, and then we all know how that was. And then the week after that. But even on a fucking wobbly knee, Carson still gave us the lead. I don't understand what happened to Carson. I never seen a QB fall from grace so far.
Confidence.
Yeah.
It's
Not
just,
even confidence. Like they fucking It's what
that
happened
was the third linebacker, Michael Kendricks. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but
What happened to Carson is exactly what I think will happen to Joe Burrow. They will just beat the shit out of this guy.
No.
I don't think so.
No.
I think it was a. I really think that with Carson, when he got hurt and then Nick Foles won that Super Bowl,
it was a
that
confidence
was really
thing.
like
Confidence.
that was a spot, and like we don't know, we didn't know then what we know now, but knowing now what we know behind the scenes about what's been reported, he did not take that well. Like he like mentally behind the scenes, he was not taking that well. Like he was on the sidelines, he was supportive. He did, like, at face value, he did everything that you're supposed to do.
Right.
But apparently behind the scenes, that wasn't the case.
Yeah, he didn't
so
handle
he didn't
it
take that well, and and then that was like the start of it, and then you have next season he gets hurt again, and then Foles does it again, goes to the playoffs with them.
Mm-hmm.
That really probably expounded that.
And that 2018 and 2019 season, was like just you talk about a roller coaster. That was
everybody
that offseason really is like, okay, we can ride with Nick, but everybody kind of wanted Carson to come back because you kind of at that point Carson Wentz was still Carson Wentz 2017 wins.
Mm-hmm.
You start off that game against Atlanta, I believe. You kick off the season, you win that, you lose to Tampa Bay. That's when Fitzpatrick fucking raped us. And then Carson came back in week 3. Kind of played mediocrely, but I think every since that point when Carson came back week 3 of the 2018 season, he was always trying too fucking hard.
Yeah, trying too much.
He was trying so hard to outplay Big Dick Nick.
Mm-hmm.
He was trying so hard that he could never just get over that hurdle. And then but honestly, looking back on it now, would I rather have Nick Chubb than versus Nick Foles? Probably, but I can understand why they didn't do that because remember, it came out Cleveland offered the first pick in the second round. Who they took with that pick was Nick Chubb.
I wanted that. I'm still mad they didn't pull the trigger on that.
You know what I'm saying? And it was almost like I think if Howie's put in the same situation now, I think he doesn't do that. I think he realizes the benefit and how much sometimes you got to stroke the ego. Yeah. I think he would have stroked the ego at that point to go ahead and do it. Now, right now, I don't think you have to worry about that where it hurts, but I can't ever rule it out. You know what I mean? I can't ever rule it out. I mean, now what we're seeing, people forget prayers up to Tua, but Hurts left Alabama because he couldn't get a starting job. For whatever reason, right, wrong, or indifferent, he left. Yeah. He didn't try to fight for his job. He didn't try to become a better passer in a place that had adversity. He fucking left. He picked his ball up and he went west. You know what I mean? It's like a fresh start. It's a clean slate. So I get it, but
all power to him. I mean, I don't think that was a bad decision for him because he wanted to be able to learn a different offense and again where he could start and help and keep developing as a passer.
Right.
Where in Alabama, that probably wasn't going to be the case. Right. So, I totally get. I agree with you, but I also want to make it clear that I'm not blaming him or saying that Hurts made the wrong decision.
Oh yeah, I'm not killing it. I don't hate him for that. It's just the fact that, and that is right. So he played his freshman. I think they won the chip. Sophomore year, they won the NFC, the championship game. He got pulled. He stayed there his junior year, then transferred his senior year.
Correct.
So.
Oklahoma, yep.
And then he was back in the college football playoffs. So Hurts is getting better. Hurts is there. I'm just saying, as much as I love Hurts right now, he's getting MVP candidate love, early MVP candidate love. But Lamar Jackson's playing better this year so far through 2020 than he was in 2019. There has never, and I will say this vehemently, the fam can at me whatever you want. We have never seen a quarterback play to the level that we saw Carson Wentz play those 13 games ever in Philadelphia. I don't give it. It's not 5. It's not Jaworski. It's not Cunningham. That consistent level to where it didn't fucking matter. Like you was tuning in to see like, yo, what throw is this motherfucker gonna make next? Like he was a human.
I think 2010 Vic is right there with it. Yeah. I think 2010 is right there. I think it's even.
Okay.
I think it's even. I'm not saying it's better. I think it's right. Like you're splitting hairs to me.
Because if you go back, I mean, like this, I haven't done any research. Listen, fam. Chucks does so much prep during the week for this fucking show for these 2 hours, and I throw it to the fucking wind. I don't look at the shit. I turn the camera on.
Just go.
We going live, bitch. I'm here. I can literally sit here and recall so many throws during that season. I can just Monday Night Football against the Redskins at that time.
Clement.
Yeah, the Corey Clement catch. Yep.
Corey Clement catch, but then the Matt Collins bomb was just in the air for like 65 yards, and he dropped it in the
that was blown coverage.
But it's still sit. Can you hit?
Well, after you get sacked too, mind you. After he got blasted,
that was the one. It looked like he was sacked, and then he came out of the pile out of nowhere. I bet you right now you could put a kiddie pool 40 yards out. No 4 of us can hit it.
No, but Wentz's best game. All right, let's pause that and we'll get back to that because I want to read some of the comments. The chat's flying, and I haven't even answered the poll yet.
So, Chucks, if I may interject real quick, I just want to give a Tua update. Tua has been transported to University of Cincinnati Medical Center. He is conscious, but he is dealing with a head and neck injury. but he does have movement in all his extremities. So
Okay.
That
Good
fucking
signs there.
Miami team, man.
good signs
So,
there.
Julio Vargas says, prayers up to Tua.
Yeah.
That was scary. They
Mhm.
better not try to say that was also a back injury.
Yeah, right.
Rome says, what's up, fellas? I have to agree to the poll. The biggest similarity is the depth on the lines, but everywhere else they are much deeper.
That's a good point.
You've got Coach Marcus Thomas.
What's up,
going
Marcus?
on in the building? Make sure you check them out before us at 7:00. It's
Yep.
A2D Football Thursdays, guys, and he kicks it off 7 p.m. Pro Fan Talk. So check him out. Marcus is always a good watch. Chris Kaufman said Tua did have a seizure, so we talked about that. Joe Horakowski, he says prayers up to Tua, just had a concussion followed by a seizure on the field. That is, yeah, it was so scary. Vespi says that Tua injury, though I'm not a Tua fan, but that medical staff screwed up. And then Marcus says it was reported that you passed all the tests. Then there's more comments about the Tua injury being that scary. Jesse Davis says Tua's concussion is probably the worst I've ever seen. Full seizure 4 days after going under concussion protocol. That's not good for Tua's long-term health. And it's not. It absolutely isn't. Tom says, what's up? He says, can't wait to be talking back shop with my boys. I'm trying to see what other comments we got here. Joe Horakowski says, agree to the poll. The roster is way more stacked at every position except tight end and running back. Jesse Davis says they have better corners, O-line, wide receiver than 2017, but I think 2017 the better D-line, tight end, running back, and safeties. Andre DeFrancisco says the Eagles going to knock off the first 10 games with a W. Love the confidence. Marquise Graham, agree because youth. I'll say definitely at the wide receiver and cornerback positions for sure, and D-line talent. Trying to scroll through some of these. Marquise Graham, Eagles special teams in 2017 was definitely better. That's a unit we don't often talk about, and that is true. That is absolutely true.
I could get signed by the Eagles tomorrow, and that'd be an improvement on the special teams.
Yeah, Brittany Covey needs to park with the fans all the time, bitch.
Just as Chris Kaufman says, just as Washington ruined RG3, Miami has ruined Tua. Marquise says only 2022 cornerbacks and wide receivers are definitely better than 2017 cornerbacks. What's going on, Nate?
What's up, Nate?
2022 Eagles have an edge on corners, wide receivers, corners. The 2017 have an edge on D-line, safety, tight end, wide receiver, and linebackers. Chris Kaufman says they're a little better than the 04 team, and even that's reaching. So keep those comments coming, guys. Our chat's flying, so we're getting some really good feedback off of this poll. Whoever thought about this poll question, Mr. New Money, genius. So very good poll question. I'm going to answer real quick, then we're going to get to Nate. But I'm going to answer it this way. And again, I'm very nuanced when I make these poll questions and how I word them. I think the 2022 Eagles team is more talented. Wow, we got a battery exhausted?
You can't.
You
may still be with us on the audio part.
Oh, shit. That's a new one. It went from camera freezing to battery exhausted.
Nate he just had the record for the quickest out in the Royal Rumble. He was Santino Morello this up.
Yeah. I think the 2020 this team is more talented overall. And I know we have a lot of people in the chat. We're breaking down which position groups, and that's great stuff. I think I agree with a good amount of them. But if you look at the teams overall, I think overall this roster is just absolutely stacked and it's deep. And I think the coaches are showing they're starting to really get into a groove, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Now, do I think this Eagles team is better than the 2017 team?
I'm fucking up the show.
It's a little.
I wasn't even gonna say that.
It's a little
fucking up the show.
It's a little tough to say because we're only 3 weeks in with 2022, but I think what we need to also acknowledge is that 2017, the fact that they were able to win games the way they did with the roster that they had, the talent that they had. If you're talking about a team that like looking back on it, the talent on that roster wasn't that great. But the fact that they won games the way they did goes to show that it's not always just about talent. It's about how you're coached. It's about how you play together with your teammates, the chemistry, the camaraderie you have with your teammates, how you'll be able to play together as one. So, like, do I think Jalen Mills and Ronald Darby are at the talent level as Darius Slay and Bradbury? Absolutely not. But at that time, they were playing pretty damn well football. And that's just one position group. So I think overall, I would disagree to the poll. I do not think this team yet has shown to be better than 2017 team, but they have the potential to be by the end of the year because they are more talented, if that makes sense. So that's my take. Mr. Nate Money, you're the one that came up with the poll question idea. So what say you? Do you think this team is better than the one that won the Super Bowl?
It's really close. I'm thinking that I agree with what you were saying. The key word is team, right? You can have a lot of talent, but that doesn't make you a really good team. And I'm going to have to follow your suit here, Chucks, and disagree to the poll as well. I don't think this team is better than that 2017 team because
say that fast 3 times.
Because at the end, we already know what the end was.
Story is, yeah.
And even with Wentz there, we still look like we might have got to that end result, at the end of the day. So I think this team is more comparable to the 04 team just because of how much talent is on this team. So I see that comparison kind of more. Whether they get over the hump or not, I don't know. It's not like Donovan was playing lights out that year too. Right. I think he had 36, 37 touchdowns and less than 10 picks. So, it's a very kind of comparable team in terms of the 04. But I'm gonna have to disagree to this poll. The 2022 team is not better than this 2017 Super Bowl team. It's not, because they're not a team yet. They're still working on that. I think we see that every time Jalen Hurts comes up at the end of a game, continuing to correct the mistakes, continuing to try to get better, continuing to be the thermometer and not just understanding the temperature. All those things he's saying, they're not there yet because they haven't played full 4 quarters yet, right? We've seen halves, we've seen 3 quarters, but they haven't. You know what? Do you know what's bothering me? When you guys put out there that whose cameras broke, this man Bryce Blackwell just going to scream out my name. What I do to you, right? Ain't nobody say Nate. You're the only one like, oh, it's Nate. You know what I mean? Like, come on, give me a shot. But yeah, man, no, I disagree to the poll.
Okay. Yep. So before we move on, I just want to say, so listen, I see a lot of fam out there saying deeper at this position, more talent. Nobody said fucking QB. I don't know why. Like, he's not like he's coming back. You can sit here and say 2017 Carson Wentz QB was better than 2022 Jalen Hurts. It's okay to say it. No one's going to be in your fucking mirror in your parking lot and your job is fucking waiting for you. You can say it.
I disagree.
Well, then you are fucking stupid, Pete, and I love it.
No, I think through three games.
There's no way. And I'm gonna tell you,
Jalen Hurts has outplayed 2017 Carson Wentz in 3 games. Yes.
No, I'm gonna tell you why too, because this is what we fucking forget, right? This is what we forget. And people talked about the depth on the lines is better on 2020. No, they're not. You fucking lost Jason Peters that year. Big V stepped in. We didn't fucking miss a beat. You lost Jordan Hicks for the year that year. We didn't miss a fucking beat, and you still won the Super Bowl. But more importantly, we talked about the special teams. You lost Darren Sproles for the year, and you still found a way to fucking win games. That is another reason and another feather in the cap of the 2017 team, which is why I disagree to the poll from every aspect, from depth, so-called talent, because once again, we keep thinking about the talent as in 2022. But that Alshon Jeffrey, I remember watching the free agency tracker and the chick from ESPN, Josina Anderson, saying, I just got a text from Alshon Jeffrey. He said he signed on with the Eagles and fucking going crazy.
Mm-hmm. I remember home from work.
Because you didn't have that before. We were missing that. And you forget the era that we came from. 2017, people wanted to come here to play with the kid who they saw at that time as somebody who had it.
Yeah.
Now, listen, don't get me wrong. They have built a team around Jalen Hurts. AJ Brown probably is given a chance, a free agent. Probably had a better shot to getting him to other teams because of who Jalen Hurts is and who he is in his personal life. But would they have want to come here without any connection to play with Jalen Hurts prior to seeing him through these first 3 games of the 2022 season? No. You see what I'm saying? So, like I said, it's okay. Like, I feel like I got to sit the fam down on the couch and say, listen, it's okay to say that Carson Wentz at that time was better. You feel what I'm saying? And it really came out of nowhere because every week the fucker was just kept surprising us. And every week people kept going down left and right. We was losing people for the year.
Yeah, we weren't
winning. Like we were winning games where we weren't supposed to win. I wish we can go back and look at what the odds were and how many games during that season were they favored or were they dogs, and look at that record, how many times they rose to the occasion to win. I did pull up 2004 Donovan McNabb stats too. He threw for 31 touchdowns, 8 picks, and he had 3,875 yards. That's what he had in 2004. And that team was, I mean, it's kind of what you see here. And I love the fact that I feel like this team is more comparable to that team because you look at the talent. But like we said, this the heart of the team. And Jake said it earlier, the 2011 Phillies, they went 107 to 55. I'm just
something like that, yeah.
Throwing stats out of my head, and they fucking lost in the first round to the fucking Cardinals. Chrome, I swear, if you're in here, do not fucking say it.
He won't let you forget.
Do not say it. But it just goes to show where that talent is if you can't put it all together. Can it all work out? It possibly can with this regime, because I'll say this. I will say this, and I'm confident saying this shit right now. 5, 11, and 1. You give me Jalen all day. I think Jalen is arguably the best leader at quarterback this fucking franchise has ever had.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm confident in saying that through two seasons and 3 games.
Go.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? Just because, like you said, he not just saying this shit to say this shit, like he's putting the work in as well. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing the results on the field. But like we talked about this week, I need to see him handle some adversity. And once he handles some adversity, I think that's going to even further supplant my feelings towards the kid. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel like this question, we need to revisit it again by the end of the year and see what it's saying. It is hard to say. Like it's 3 weeks in, and we're going off of 3 dominating wins. So like you don't know just how. You don't have a full season of this roster to see like what happens when they're actually tested yet. Mm-hmm. So it's also unfair, but it is a fun question to pose because of just going off of talent alone. Again, we all argue that this has the most talent. This is the most talented Eagles roster we've had since 2000 in the past 20 plus years. So it's a fun question to ask. I think that Pete, I agree with you that 2017 Wentz was better than what we've seen so far of Hurts. But I would invest absolutely and put all my money on Hurts right now if I were to, because I didn't know a lot of his 2020, having 2020 vision right now, like in terms of, because we already know what happened with Wentz, but like. Hurts' leadership is so phenomenal. You've got Michael Irvin going crazy over it. Yep. And
he about to change. He about to give AJ Brown 88.
Cocaine.
Like, crazy. You see Hurts, Pete. What we talked about last season, right? We want him to be the guy. Yep. We want so bad for him to be. We had our doubts and skepticisms about him, but we wanted so bad for him to be the guy because not only would that be the best route for the Eagles moving forward, but because he has all the intangibles you want in terms of a leader. So you would just hope that it would turn out the talent would eventually show itself, and so far it has. So I think it's a very interesting, very, very interesting question and easy to compare. But we'll see how the rest of the season goes, and we'll revisit later on in the year. Let's look at the victory that the Eagles had over the Commanders in Week 3 is get some of our reactions. And again, this segment is brought to you by eXp Realty. If you're looking to for change in career or brokerage, contact Alan Foy at eXp Realty LLC. Even if you're looking to buy or sell a home, make sure you hit him up at 302-682-8820 or visit him at alan.foy at exprealty.com. So, thoughts about this past victory? A lot of, I guess you could say it's kind of similar in the sense that we got up to a big lead in the first half, didn't really do anything in the second half on offense. So, what are your thoughts after that victory? Anyone that wants to speak up.
I mean, just real quick, it's goes to show Hurts dominated again, had another fantastic performance, and this time through the air. I think we barely. I mean, he ran a little bit, but he barely used his legs, and that just shows you the versatility and just how much he's improved as a passer. And we talked about it a lot this offseason about if he can make that step, if he can improve his accuracy, anticipation, and touch with the football. And he's shown that so far in 3 games. So,
yeah, I was going to say just a good win, just a good overall win. Always feels good to win. How great has these last couple of weeks been going into Monday, getting the win. And I think that we just continue to see how good this team really is. And I just want to add this for my bettors out there, because I bet. Money Pop Podcast, we bet all day.
Do you really?
I want to drop one on you that you might like and you might not like. And for those who are gamblers, looking for long odds, looking to, bet small and win big, Jake. I really like. I wouldn't say crazy but I really like the Eagles to go undefeated.
Shit.
I like the Eagles to go undefeated. 25-1 right now.
Oh my God.
For the Eagles to not lose a game.
I wouldn't even know what to do.
You crazy. I'm just looking at this schedule.
Yeah.
I really am, and I'm having hard time finding losses, if any. I went through it today.
We'll pull a Carolina where we'll be 15-0.
And I'm just like, who are they going to lose to?
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, there's going to be a slip up. Obviously, there's going to be a game where Jalen Hurts doesn't play like what we've seen. There's obviously going to be regression. I just don't know where that's going to be. And even so, I don't know if there's a team good enough to overcome what our defense has been looking at. People like, no, Nate, don't say that because you're gonna mess it all up. You're gonna mess it all up saying stuff like that. You're gonna jinx it, and I get it. But I think the odds are very live, and I think it's a pretty decent bet because I don't really see the only game I think that there's a question where they could probably lose because betting wise they're going to be favored in every game the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
There's not going to be a game where they're underdog. And it's the Packers game. Only game I can think just because Rodgers can throw his receivers open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how tight the coverage is. Rodgers can put the ball in a spot where it's going to be tough. So I like the Eagles. And then another bet for y'all, it's 5-1 right now. And with Tua going down right now, I really think this is Nick Sirianni's
Coach of the year.
Yep. Coach of the year.
Yeah, I do like that one.
Coach of the year.
I like that one more than undefeated.
Yeah, coach of the year for Nick Sirianni, 5-1 right now. I know people like to bet 10, 15, 20, 35 or whatever, the longer odds. But right now, go get Nick Sirianni. If you got some extra money, you're going to wait for it, right? Because it comes at the end of the year. So you want to put a little bit on there. But right now, I already got in. Bet Nick Sirianni to win Coach of the Year for sure. I think it's his award to win. Because even if McDermott in Buffalo does well, Buffalo already lost. But if they even do well, they were expected to do well. I don't think the turnaround with what this Philadelphia Eagles team was at the end of last year to what they are now, they're favored to win the NFC. There's really nobody in the NFC right now. Give me Nick Sirianni, plus 500. Coach of the year. Lock it in.
I like that. I like that.
So
grab your pennies, put the money in.
the thoughts about the game. I mean, I just want to say this. I'm gonna pat myself on the back. I told you so that this fucking defense would be a top 5 defense. I said that. I was the only one who said that. I said Marcus Epps flash. So 3 games. I know this all this shit can come back to bite me in the ass. I know. It's okay. It's okay. But also, I'm not alone on this bus where we look at the second half now. It took a week, but other motherfuckers is with me. So thank you. Welcome. It's an open table. Hopefully we'll see that. But
Oh my God.
I'll worry about it when it starts.
hopefully we all could jump off after this game this past Sunday. But Nate, I'll give you this one too. The who we're playing this Sunday, also something could be said for that coach to potentially have coach of the year consideration if he continues and that team continues to grow. And I'm speaking about Doug Pederson. We all know him too well. But overall defense is it's like you beat up on the little people. You beat up on the teams where they're weakest at. Obviously, we saw with Washington what they did the first 2 weeks. I think Wentz had like 631 yards, 7 touchdown passes, 3 picks. Told you, bitch, he was a walking fucking turnover. He turned the ball over at a fumble last Sunday. We've been saying that. But they were able to move the ball against the Jags, and they were able to move the ball against the Lions as well. Sunday,
Nada.
They wasn't able to move the ball.
Nada.
And it was really our defensive line coming to it. And that I equate this game, which I hope even if they don't have another 9-sack game, even if they don't have that type of level of dominant performance of the defensive line. Remember last year, was it last year or the year before the Jets game? And they were just fucking wrecking shop. But then after that, that was their peak for the defensive line. Their stats wise, they didn't have as many sacks. So I don't want us to peak with the defensive line early. But I also think that some of those sacks is on Carson, but some of those sacks is also contributed to what we are doing on the back end. And I really think our back 7 are really starting to gel and they're starting to understand. And the handoff between Bradbury, the safety, Slay is really starting to work, and that communication is starting to be there. So,
and Gardner Johnson's not even clicking on all cylinders at the safety yet. No. He still hasn't fixed his angles, and they're still already.
He doesn't even know the playbook, does he?
Nah, he doesn't have a good concept of it.
Yeah,
he doesn't have a good concept. He's probably looking at the other 3 of them, saying like, "Yo." Especially, I think it's Bradbury and Gardner Johnson more so. Slay and Epps are definitely on the same page because they were in the system last year. Yeah. And Bradbury's had a whole more time than Gardner Johnson to come along and figure it out. But forget, Gardner Johnson got here in August, so it's probably going to take him to week 5 or week 6 before he really starts to feel comfortable just understanding it. But also at the same point, the last 2 years he's been playing primarily corner. Now we're asking him to play dominantly safety. You see what I'm saying? So it's a change twofold, but the other 3 around him and just in the back end, not counting Maddox, are playing at such a level right now to where it's making up for his not being in the right spot.
Let's not cheat out Maddox here. Maddox is playing.
That's what I'm saying. Maddox is playing fucking really well.
He's playing as high as a level as anyone in that secondary. So he needs his flowers too, man. He's balling. Absolutely balling. So I didn't know that whole secondary and the linebackers, they're playing really well. I mean, TJ Edwards, we talked about, like, despite, I've told you, like, we know his athletic limitations, but why is he making plays? Because he's so damn smart. He makes up for it because he's just smart. So he's playing really well. Kaiser White's playing well. Our D-line, obviously, we touched on already. So, yeah, I mean, this defense, everyone in week 1 I was saying fire Gannon. 2 weeks later, we'll see about that. I mean,
and it goes to show the Lions keep putting up double-digit points. Like the Lions aren't nothing. They're going to be a good team. Like so, they could just have so far the best offense that we played. Obviously, this Sunday will be tested as well, but it's just one you got to give credit to the other teams sometime. And it was the first week of the season, and they're just trying to figure shit out, man.
Absolutely.
The Lions winning at least 8 games.
People were mad they're not seeing the Kobe Dean on the field for what?
Who's he playing over? Like that's the whole thing. Like
who's coming out?
Kaiser White's out of his fucking mind. Like, we don't need the Kobe Dean right now. You know how great that is at linebacker. That we got a guy who's supposed to go in the first round. And our linebackers are playing so well that, you know what? He can sit and learn.
Yeah, exactly. Cole's Cowboys says Eagles are doing well, but I don't know about top 5 defense. I mean, we'll see, bro. Like
his Cowboys. I don't give a like. Listen, Coles. I don't
Yeah.
know you personally, but when you come on here, you had Cowboys in the screen name. I don't take anything you say seriously. I don't. You know.
Yeah,
what I mean?
worry about your backup quarterback being better than your starting quarterback.
For the second time.
For the second time. Yeah.
He's 3-0 as a starter. Just saying, there might be quarterback controversy.
oh boy.
That probably like, ooh, this
I would
feels
love
weird
it.
on the other side.
I would love it.
Oh my god.
Jerry's salivating. It's like, oh my god, look at that ball play. Oh,
The other side of the ball, Eagles offense. I mean, I think the star of the game, other than the offensive line, who had a phenomenal game in pass protection. In the run game, it was a little harder, a little different story.
Mhm.
Our run game really wasn't on against the Commanders, but the Commanders they really played well against the run. They also play a 5-man front, and they pretty much just stopped the run. So I mean, like that, I'll tip my cap to them in that regard. So our running game needs to get back on track next week, but our passing game, outside of the offensive line, Devontae Smith. I mean, I said it. I don't want to like pat myself on the back right now because I know we're only 3 weeks in. But I forget if I mentioned it in this past offseason how, especially in the fantasy community, no one was talking about Devontae.
Nope.
Like everything was like, oh, AJ Brown, get him, he's gonna be a stud, and for good reason. He's a damn stud. We all know that. But everyone's forgetting, hey, Devontae Smith, you know, he's pretty damn good too. He was actually
I think I got receipts saying that. I think I said Devontae Smith will have a better year than AJ Brown.
You did,
Mhm.
and I said something similar. I said don't be surprised if Devontae leads, you know, has better receiving stats in a category over AJ Brown too. So
Yeah.
like to me, they are both legit wide receiver ones. They are both elite talents at wide receiver, and people forgot. I feel like some people forgot. Maybe not Eagles fans, but people outside of this market forgot just how good Devontae Smith is. And I think against the Commanders, he showed them. Like those 2 catches, that was just Devontae being just an elite player. Like
that's it, man.
the 44-yard bomb where he just mosses the 2 defenders, and then the fourth and goal play before halftime. That's just elite play, man. That's Devontae is,
and I think it's the way that he won. You know what I mean? Like the way that he came down with those balls coming out of Alabama. It wasn't that he can. You didn't hear about his strengths being he can high point the ball. You heard that he could do it, but what we saw on display, even fighting through contact with some of those passes, breaking tackles, like he's skinny, but you getting the ball. He's a high value. So, I mean, everybody so far. Week 1 it was AJ. Week 2 was kind of Quiz with the 53-yard bomb, and now this week it was definitely Devontae. So maybe Sunday it may be the Goddard show. You never know, but you know what I mean. So it's a good problem to have. It's definitely it's a good problem to have. I mean, it's not much we could talk about from that game, bro. Like that to me, Sunday was a more dominating win than what we had against Monday night against Minnesota.
Agreed.
Just because what you saw in those
way,
first 7 dropbacks, Carson was on his ass from day one.
because I think the defense just you could tell the defense had it under wraps. Like
Yeah.
I think on offense, one last thing I wanted to hit on. I think the thing that stood out to me also was that 4th down play right before half to Devontae.
Yes.
Like, I'm sure you guys saw Jalen Hurts made the call. Jalen Hurts was the one that made that call. That and how many quarterbacks right now can do that? Can be in charge and make the call? And out of those quarterbacks that you mentioned, how many of them are franchise guys? So you really that's one of the things that really when I read that Hurts made that type of call, I'm like that's special. That's when you have it. That's when you know your quarterback has it. So
he's getting it. Like this is before we came on, I said that another friend of mine had posted about some shit that Shady said about Kyler Murray. What you're seeing is this is the difference. Yeah, Hurts prospect wise didn't have all the arm talent, didn't have this, didn't have that. but this month he's been playing the court. He's been a quarterback for more than 10 years. This is the position that he's been playing. He isn't somebody like a Kyler Murray who played baseball, had a tremendous arm talent, is fast as shit, and hey, I can go make money at football. You see what I'm saying? It's a different vibe. Josh Allen, the same way, he's been a quarterback. You know what I mean? So it took guys to grow into this shit. And that's where I think we're seeing with Jalen Hurts. So also, Chuck's the other play as well, the A.J. Brown touchdown. They said they ran that 3 other times, and he noticed how they were playing it and went back to it.
Yeah.
So if you get a kid who's a leader like this, who can run the way he can, doesn't have the greatest arm, but is figuring out where he can put the ball, his strengths, his weaknesses, and also is now starting to recognize what the defense is giving to him, bro, it's just his country accent, the Texas accent, the Southern accent that gets me every time. It's just weird. It's just weird to me, but
yeah, absolutely. And it's I continue to be so impressed of his command and leadership. Like when it comes to playing quarterback, yeah, having elite tools like the Josh Allens, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, that's tantalizing. And we talked about it all off season, how we'd love to have one of those unicorns at QB. But when we talk about an actual quarterback that can help a team win, a franchise quarterback, so much of it is up here. Like I've said before, Tom Brady, if you look at his just physical talent, would you say he's one of the most physically talented quarterbacks to ever play the game? No. But why is he the GOAT? Is because because he's just the ultimate competitor. And
he's a winner, yep.
He does what it takes.
That's my wife. I love football.
Pretty much.
Yeah, she should have known better. You should have known better.
My whole thing with that is everyone's like, "Oh, I feel bad for Tom." I said, "No." I said, "This was probably like 5 years. This was probably I tell everyone this is probably 5 years in the making. The second he hit 40, he was probably like, "Babe, just 5 more years. That's it. I want to play till 45, and I'm good." And she's like,
I don't even think he told her that.
It's over. It's done with. And then he's like, "Well, what about just one more? Like, come on, just a little bit."
Imagine Juanita in 92 telling Mike to retire. That shit not happening, bitch. Imagine Elon in 08 telling Tiger, don't go out there and play in that final round on that broken kneecap. It's not like you imagine Vanessa Bryant, God rest Kobe Bryant's soul. Don't go out there and play when you hurt.
Technically, it was the mob telling Jordan to retire in 92.
Like it's foolish for her to think that this dude at this level was going to step down.
I mean, well, you should say that, and she should be like, "All right, I'm not retiring." I'm like, it's clear. Like there's a reason there's an issue, right? Because he gave his word. He's like, "Oh, I'm doing it. I'm retired." 2 months later,
and knowing him, he probably that time where he said he was retired. He was so fucking miserable when the off season was happening and he wasn't there. She was like, "All right, fuck it, just go back." It's like we all had that moment with our wives. When they clearly could see that we're not happy and we're just doing it just to help them, and we're just not in it mentally. All right, just fucking get this go.
Well, you have to
for everything. It's gonna be great.
You have to remember too, though, Brady's retirement was leaked.
Yeah,
you do have to remember that his retirement was leaked, so he probably wants to end it on his own terms, being like, "All right, screw the media. I'm going to do it on my own."
Well, also remember all the shenanigans he was trying to pull with the Dolphins.
Allegedly.
Come on now. Let's call a spade a spade. Like, come on now.
I mean,
you know it. I know it. Brady knows it. Janelle knows it. Or Giselle knows it. Sean fucking Payton knows it.
Yeah, no. I don't know what he's talking about.
But no, he's talking about this. What did you say, Nate?
I thought he was supposed to go to the Raiders.
That was in 2020.
2020. They're talking about the ownership with Stephen Ross and trying to backdoor his way to find. But my thing is this: like, I mean, you fall in love who you fall in love with. But Tom, he should have just he one could say Bridget Monahan, Blue Bloods actress, B movie. She wouldn't have given a shit if you'd have played until you 50, bitch. She don't care. Giselle, like, listen, I don't even really need your money. You know what I mean?
No, she doesn't.
Money to you. So, Like, are you going to stop playing this thing you call football or not? Like, like, are you going where? He's like, I'm going to work. Like, why? Like, you already got
why?
7 rings, and he's not driven by that. You feel what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you got certain dudes who are wired for something different. He's just like Savannah not going to tell LeBron, don't go play year 21.
Mm-hmm.
Because then at that point, you're just going to be miserable at home. If that player at that peak still think they can go and still think they have a chance to win, they're not going to want to do that. And they're such control freaks. Like you said, he's going to want to go out on his own terms.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
Yep.
It's just
Which is crazy though, because he had the door, right? He won it, and he could have walked out away from there, but it's just that everybody told him that he was retired. He was going to retire.
Right.
Before he said he could retire.
Before he could say, I'm retiring. It was like, oh, well, there's nothing else for you to do right now. You the one here, you the one there. You proved that it was you the success. And
or he could have retired after the 7th one. That was the perfect storybook ending.
But see, that's what the thing is, Pete. 99% of the world thinks like that. He's a 1%er when it comes to competition. He's a 1%er when it comes to control and what you think the limitations of what he should do or his performance. Hence why you get shit like Tiger Woods winning a U.S. Open at Torrey Pines, not riding in a cart, walking on a broken kneecap, on a broken patella. You don't get that without anything else. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just certain dudes is just different, man. You don't get Frank Dutch in the first kickboxer, bitch, or you know what I mean, blood sport. You feel what I'm saying?
I hope it was worth it. I hope it was, because like if he wins another Super Bowl, I'm like, okay, you know, all the drama and everything is worth it. If he like let's say like he goes out, I'm like he's one and done again. You're just like to go one and done.
I think at that point,
marriage. I'm just saying. I'm just curious.
At that point, I think he knows but honestly, I mean, I know we're kind of getting sidetracked. Look at what's going on with Tampa Bay. It's not because of him.
Right.
You know, they're not winning not because of him. It's just the team around him. So can he maneuver to find his way to a ready-made team? Mm-hmm. Possibly. You feel what I'm saying? Trey Lance, listen, I'm gonna say this: if Trey Lance can't come back, he's not right. Jimmy G gets traded before the trade in the offseason, whatever happens.
Oh my
God. Go home. Go home.
That would be the greatest fucking like. I'd be all in on that.
If anything has shown you in the last 5 to 10 years, these new age GMs are not scared to fucking take chances, blow shit up, and try to buy a championship. Like Les Snead said, fuck them picks.
Mm-hmm.
Except Shanahan, for whatever reason, does not want Brady. I don't understand it.
Well, because he probably wants to do it on his own, and he's gonna get tired of hearing that talk. Like, you can't win the big one. You can't win the big one. He's gonna be like,
he can. He's the choke artist.
He's gonna be like, fuck it, I need to go get Brady, and I need to fucking win one. And then
probably the only way Shanahan can win one.
You know what I mean? So, but I don't know where we're at in the criteria. This trip is so fucking far off the
I know. I'm not even gonna bite on that. The whole choke artist thing is so overblown, but let's move on to the second quarter. Let's talk about the upcoming game, Eagles Jaguars. Before we do, Mr. Pete Evans, can you tell us who it's brought to us by?
It's brought to you by FanUp, which is the best way to enjoy fantasy sports, daily NFL contests, and more. Win great prizes. Sign up today. Use promo code A2D for 5,000 bonus points, which is a value of $50, and at fanup.app on your mobile phone, tablet, wherever you can get a mobile browser. And I'll take you right to the app. Download, sign up. Once again, promo code A2D for 5,000 bonus points.
So, Eagles, Jaguars. Let me ask you guys this, because this was going to be the poll question now before Nate got his came up with that really good one. But Tyler Boyd pass to Jamar Chase. Okay, good. Yo, Chase has done nothing so far this game.
No, he hasn't.
Come on.
T. Higgins, man.
Come on, man.
T. Higgins is the one that have a fantasy.
Didn't I ask about that sophomore slump for Jamar Chase?
Well, I don't think it's that. It's just everybody and their mama is like trying to shut him the fuck down.
Right.
Yeah. Everyone's doubling him. I mean, like, he did go off in the first game, so
he did.
Anyways, so Do you guys think this is going to end up being the toughest game the Eagles will have within the first 6 weeks? So everything before their bye week. So the 6 games, do you think this is the toughest game they'll have?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say so. Just because of the momentum that the Jaguars have right now. But at the same time, I also think that's going to be a disadvantage to them because they're coming off a big emotional win. They blew out the Chargers. They're feeling themselves a little bit. Now, mind you, with Doug being the head coach, he'll rally them in. We know how Doug's teams are. He always has them ready for the next week. But they're a young team. They're a young, up-and-coming team. Trevor Lawrence is getting in his groove right now, and they haven't faced a defense like ours yet. And mind you, I think this is one of the better defenses we've faced this year as well, aside from their cornerbacks. I'm not really that impressed with their corners, but I think, going up to the bye week, this I think is our toughest test because I'm not really worried about the Cardinals, and we know what the Cowboys are. So,
Yeah, I disagree. I would think. What up, 40? I think Detroit was. A lot of people. There's a lot of money on Detroit coming into that game. A lot of people actually had Detroit actually winning that game outright. There was a lot of back and forth, a lot of adversity, and we found a way to win that game. And we did it in a pretty good fashion. Like the score was close, but going into halftime, we were up by I think almost double-digit scores. So, I think there's more hype on this game because Doug's coming back, and obviously it should. He should be. He should get a standing O when he comes back. But I don't think this Jacksonville team. I don't think this offense is going to be able to score on our defense. Now their defense is going to give us a little bit of problems. I think that the linebackers are good. Their front seven is good, but it's good versus good, right? It's not like we have a slouch offensive line,
right?
You know what I mean? And then they have some decent skill positions in the corners. I think Griffin from Seattle's on that team. Trying to think on the who else is on that team on the back half.
Tyson Campbell.
Yeah, Campbell.
They got Andre Cisco as a safety.
Cisco.
Yeah, from Georgia. They got some dogs, man. They got Allen. They got obviously the number 1 pick. So they got some dogs on that team. And I think they could easily be 3-0. I didn't see that one game, but I heard that was a close game that they lost.
Against the Commanders, yeah.
But they still lost. And I think Trevor's not there yet, right? He's just not there yet to ascend to where we need to see him to go. And if you think about it, this is really his first year because he finally has a coach that's going to help him progress.
Or just as a coach. Because
just a coach,
Just a level-headed coach.
So they're on the road. They're coming here. They're leaving a shit show down in Florida, right? With the hurricane, a lot of stuff going on in Florida. So that's going to be on their mind as well. A lot of emotion with Doug coming back. But I think the Eagles get it done here.
I don't. But yeah, Florida right now is a shit show. I think Duval County didn't get hit that. I don't think they got hit that bad. But I think the biggest thing, like Jake said, second road game in a row, opposite coast. And you came off that big win. So the emotions are going to be running high. I think Doug's going to try to rein them in from a coaching standpoint. But once that whistle goes off and the game actually starts, you never know. Like Nate already said, the Trayvon Walker. We talked about Griffin. We talked about Tyson Campbell. We talked about Andre Cisco. I think Mike Caldwell and the way that he uses the front seven is they just fucking got freaks all the way across the board.
Yeah.
But once again, it's their strength against our strength. I'm not concerned. Our secondary has played so well that if they're going to break, I don't think it's going to be against this fucking team.
No.
You see, I don't think it's going to be against this group. We've seen what a Doug Pederson offense is at its peak. And I'm not saying it's easy to figure out, but, I like our chances. You know what I mean? I as far as the question, what would have been backup poll question, I do think this is the toughest because I just think that it's setting you up to where you can kind of get to that look ahead a little bit. You can kind of get to that look ahead to where you're looking at Arizona going out, and then right after that, you got the Cowboys. And I think the bye week is after the Cowboys game, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
No,
I believe so,
yeah. Bye week is after the Cowboys game.
Yeah, so week 7. So I
Yeah.
think now is that point where you can start to get to the look ahead. But this is where I think personally, this is where Jalen, his leadership comes in, and the leadership of the team. You can't overlook anybody. You've been the talk of the town, national media. Either you're number 1 overall in power rankings, or you're number 2. And a younger team like us, if they're not led correctly, could finally buy into that. But on paper, I just think on paper, this is scheme wise. I think this is our toughest matchup before the bye, just because we know Doug can coach.
Yep.
And we know that. So the offensive line, Brandon Scherf, they signed him. It's decent. Our defensive line needs to bring it. Like they're going against a better offensive line than they faced last week. They need to bring it. They need to get Trevor Lawrence off his spot. And they need to make Trevor force some bad throws and kind of, I won't say piss the game away, but kind of give us the ball back, give us some extra possessions. But I know the link is going to be rocking. So I think special teams can come into play, whether right, wrong, or indifferent, because fucking Britton Covey, bro. I mean, at one point we saw Devontae Smith starting to return punts, so they're already looking at change.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're going to do.
That's a big deal when people are making, like, it's not like Westbrook return punts in his early years.
I don't think it's bad.
Macklin,
right?
Like, I don't think that people made a big thing about, like, why are you putting it back here?
Because you see what's going on.
You need to think, Antonio Brown returned punts his whole career.
Yeah,
when he was a starter, when he was a wide receiver 1 for Pittsburgh, he was the punt returner still. So like, like I get you want to conserve your guys, but like, hey, if you need an upgrade, you need someone to return punts, just have him return punts.
I put Boston Scott there personally. That's just me.
Yeah, he's more of a kick returner. I don't know like how well he would do in punt return.
He didn't do too well when they had him back there.
When it happened, I remember he had some reps in there. Was it a year ago or 2 years ago?
Who we talking about?
Boston Scott when he was a punt returner.
Yeah, I don't even remember that
when he did it, but he just didn't like it's an art back there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you have to know how to hit it and all that. Like it really is an art like that, and some people just have it and some people don't. Covey's okay, but last game he got smoked and he's straight ahead. But he gets up the field fast. That's the thing about him. He's fast.
Yep.
So I see why he's back there. Wow, they kicked the field goal on 4th and 1. Wow.
Yeah.
So my bet for this game, and Nate, you can let me know if I took Miami money line, I took the over, and I took Miami getting the points in the SGP. But now I think that's fucking dead in the water just because of the over. I still like my money line and I still like the points, but that same game parlay is not going to hit now because 2 is out.
Yeah. See, but here's the thing about the game. When I looked at this game, was that everybody was betting the spot because Miami came off the big emotional win over Buffalo.
Yeah,
was injured, and that defense had played a lot of plays, and it was a Sunday game, and they're playing right back, Thursday. So it was a short week. People were hurt. People were banged up. But if you put Teddy Bridgewater as a starting quarterback for this game, I don't think the line changes. So I think the handicap that people were looking at from Sharp side was the wrong handicap. You know what I mean? You have to look at quarterback play. Like you just have to look at quarterback play, and the fact that I'm getting the better quarterback with Tua, even though he was a little hurt. I'm getting the better quarterback with Tua and getting the points. I like the Miami money line bet, and I think and I just don't trust Cincy. That's another thing too. Like I just don't trust Cincy at all. People are like, oh, they're still good because of what they did last year. They could be very well just like us and just call lightning in a bottle last year.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of what it's looking like. Burrow's not, the Burrow that we all say, that we think he is. The offense is not lighting it up. It's not like they faced anybody really good as of yet, So I think, and it's like, oh, those last couple of quarters they played well. Well, it was the Jets. Like, it's Joe Flacco led Jets, and it's like they're back.
Oh,
and just to speak to your point, Nate, Teddy Bridgewater's line. So Tua's line before he got hurt, 8 for 14, 110 yards, average of 7.9 yards an attempt, no touchdowns, 1 interception. He was sacked once on 10 dropbacks. I think his rating was 52.7. Teddy Bridgewater, 9 for 13, 153 yards, average yards per attempt, 11.8, 1 touchdown, no interception. So, I mean, it might be something to this Mike McDaniel guy who killed like his sideline shots and him just walking up and down. That bitch looks like a fucking substitute school teacher. It's like a gym teacher. I'm sorry, Pete. Like he's literally walking with his hands behind his back. He's not looking at his sheet, just talking and walking up and down the sideline.
Well, Teddy's a pro too, right? Like Teddy's a pro and he's a vet. So that's why I was saying, like, I don't think like Tua's the better quarterback,
right?
But I don't think it's such a fall off that Teddy Bridgewater is not playing in this game.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the way I looked at this game. But good. Go Birds. Go back to Birds.
Yeah. So my take, I think a lot of you, well, the ones below, I think you're underrating the Jaguars. They are young and they've got some real talent. Like
they do.
They have real talent. I do think this is going to be the toughest test that we have. Because it could be a trap game for the Jaguars who are coming off of that big win, but it also could have been a huge momentum swing or confidence builder for that team. So from an X's and O's standpoint, if you look at it from our defense facing their offense, to me, it all depends. And this is the biggest factor, I think. It all depends on what type of Gannon we're going to get.
Yeah.
So if we're going to get the traditional Gannon that's going to the same Gannon from last year, that's going to like sit back in conservative zones and let offenses dink and dunk all game, then it's going to be a long day for this defense and for the team. I think that's the thing is that's what this team does really well right now is that they take what the defense is giving them, whether it's like 5-yard plays, screen passes, throws to the intermediate levels of the field. Like they're not an explosive offense, but they don't mind because they execute the short game really, really well right now. And they take what the defense is giving you. So they will be patient on offense and they will take all the short stuff all day long. And they will get and execute those plays at a high level. On the opposite side, this is going to be very difficult in terms of you got to look at who their defensive coordinator is. The defensive coordinator was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year, I think, as their linebackers coach. So what their game plan this game is probably going to be very similar to what Hurts and the Eagles played or faced last year in that wild card game. So you're talking about them leaving the middle of the field open, playing too high, and just stacking the box on line of scrimmage and forcing Jalen Hurts to pass. So our run game is going to have trouble because this is going to be a stacked box all game most likely. So Jalen Hurts is really going to have to sit back, and he's really going to have to throw in the middle of the field. And he's going to have to trust his quarterbacks and his wide receivers, I mean. And consider the fact that the way they do that defensive line has numerous just freaks, athletic freaks, tall players that are so good athletically. And Pete, remember when we were talking about our draft preview, like I said, I like Trayvon Walker. I was part of the minority that liked Trayvon, not Trayvon Walker. Trayvon Walker.
And they also have Devin Lloyd. That's the other player I was forgetting about.
Yeah. So I liked Walker the most, and not a lot of people did, but because I saw Walker's ceiling as the highest out of Hutchinson and what's the other guy? The one the Giants drafted.
Yeah.
I thought Walker's ceiling was the highest, and Walker's been playing really, really well. Walker's been playing really well for them. Devin Lloyd too. That linebacker they got, Aluakong, I'll be playing really
He's from
well.
Atlanta, right? They picked him up from Atlanta, right?
Yeah. And so, and that secondary, Tyson Campbell and Shaq Griffin on the outside. You've got Darius Williams on nickel, and you've got the safeties, Rayshawn Jenkins and Andre Sisco. I loved Andre Sisco. So these aren't household names, but they're young names who are very talented. So I think that this is going to be schematically schematically it's going to be a game where our coaches are really going to have to help out our talent, especially on defense. Like Gannon, he can't be conservative. He has to be aggressive.
Yeah,
Because
he has to get creative.
He's got to get aggressive and creative. And Jalen Hurts has to continue to trust Devontae and trust AJ Brown to make plays. I don't want him to be bailing pockets often. He's got to throw in the middle of the field, access that area of the field, because that's what's going to be given to him. I really do believe that the Jaguars are going to come with a similar game plan that the Bucks did in the wild card game and try to force Jalen to show that he's learned from it. So Jalen's got to show that he has. So that's
and they do have the athletic skill positions on the defensive side to kind of, I won't say spy him, but they can kind of mitigate his legs to a point. So like, I don't want him to run Sunday to try to get yards if he can run to extend plays or keeping his eyes downfield. Because I mean, do I think Jalen can outrun Devin Lloyd? Yeah. Do I think he can outrun Trayvon Walker? Yeah. Do I want to see him try? No. You know what I mean?
On a consistent basis too. Like, oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like yeah, then no. I don't want to. I don't want to see that. You know what I mean? So it's just I just think schematic wise, talent wise,
there you go, Jamar.
On both sides of the ball, I think it's just going to be, I won't say tough sledding, but they got to be on their shit. And it's easy to come. It's easy as much as we talk about the Jags coming off a big win, emotional win. Even for us, I mean, it's our first division game of the season. And you pretty much won it handily, and you still, the one saving grace is the fact that we still haven't played 60 minutes of football. We haven't even played 45 minutes of good football. It's been 30 minutes, so there's still that bar that we need to reach of execution to put a whole game together. So that's where I don't think we shot our load in any one of the games this season, and yet we find ourselves sitting 3-0. Yeah, you know what I mean. So that's something to be said because they still have that imaginary bar that they're still setting for, that they're still striving for it. But just from you look at Doug Pederson versus Jonathan Gannon, and you look at Nick Sirianni versus Mike Caldwell, it's just going to be one of those things where it's just going to be across the board. It's just going to be a good matchup. Yep. It's going to be a good matchup across the board, and I think the line is still 6. I got the line at +7.5 for Jacksonville.
It went up to +7.5.
It opened at 7.5. I think it was down. I think it's down to 6.5 now.
Let me see.
But I took Jacksonville with the points. I mean, I had to. 7.5 is a lot.
That is a lot.
That's a lot.
See NFL.
I know that. Yeah, Pete, you talked about like us playing, especially the offense, because they had another week where they didn't score any points in the second half. Sirianni addressed that. He was asked about it, and he said that against the Vikings, they got too conservative too quickly, and then he tried to make up for that by being really aggressive in the second half against the Commanders. And you can see that, like, they were calling deep shots still. And whereas we were connecting on them in the first half, we just didn't connect on them in the second half. And I think that's a big reason why we had those like 3 possessions where we punted, because we tried to, Sirianni was just put didn't let up on the gas pedal. And sometimes when you try to get those deep shots over and over, you're not going to connect on every single one. So I think that Sirianni knows what he's trying. Sirianni knows he's trying to find a balance between the two, and I think he'll find it. So, like we said, it's easier to fix when you're 3-0. Yep. When you have these problems and you're looking to get them addressed. So, I wish, Nate. I wish there was a prop bet out there that I could bet on of whether Doug Pederson is going to call a Philly special or not. Because I really think he's going to end up.
There's going to be some weird, because there always is with Doug. There's going to be some weird, like reverse or like
trick play. Yeah.
I think he's going to call a Philly special.
That'd be so fun.
Nothing would not shock me more if he just called a Philly special on game 1 on play 1.
I love the
Jesus. That would have been good from 64 yards.
Oh, you're ahead of me.
Yeah, he made it. So one thing we haven't talked about yet, I know we kind of talked about Trevor Lawrence and him still being young. Like, listen, man, one thing we know Doug likes to do is that bitch will run the ball.
Yep.
And James Robinson, we do not have the best back going into this game.
Bro, James Robinson, this is insane that he looks like prime James Robinson.
Is he a free agent this year?
No, this is only his second year. No. This is his
third year.
No, yeah. So he's got one more year after this year.
He had to be like a day, definitely a day 2, maybe day 3 pick.
No, he was undrafted.
Yeah, he was undrafted.
he was one of those that I did not scout. So he came out of nowhere to me, and I was like, how did I not watch this guy? I didn't watch him that draft. So I didn't know anything about him when he came onto the scene. So yeah, he's freaking good. And I laugh because this past offseason, you see it in fantasy drafts, everyone was forgetting about him. And I get that he had the Achilles injury, but like, yeah, everyone was forgetting about him. All the attention was on Travis Etienne.
Mm-hmm.
But he comes in and he looks just like James Robinson. It's crazy. Like, I thought Cam Akers last year coming back and being able to play in the playoffs was insane. Nah, this James Robinson actually looks like he never got hurt, which is crazy. That's crazy.
It's just from that to Evan Ingram, it's a lot of talent that didn't work out in other places that got fresh starts. And that's what is kind of scares you a little bit. I mean, we all laughed at Christian Kirk's contract, but through 3 games, I mean,
he's been really good.
He's been good. They're feeding the ball. He's the number one. I mean, you always got Marvin Jones, who is one of the more underrated wide receivers in the league. Everywhere he goes, he did it in Cincinnati, did it in Detroit. Now he's doing it in Jacksonville. Fucking just makes crazy catches after crazy catch. I also think you got who's their third wide receiver? Zay Jones.
Zay Jones. Well, he's technically their second guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would say Marvin Jones would be the third. So, but you got Zay Jones too. So it's just.
I think he's going to be out.
Zay Jones.
Yeah, he didn't practice.
Yeah, he missed practice today.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just you hope. Hopefully, you hope Doug gets the good old country boy in him. Just kind of gets a little overwhelmed. You know what I mean? Coming back, he's not going to get booed. He's going to get cheered. He's going to get loved.
I don't know why you think that.
Yeah, like I'm not booing.
Well, because it's Philly, but
I'm not booing Doug Pederson.
I'm not booing Doug Pederson. Anyone that boos Doug Pederson should get slapped.
You have a statue in the city. You're not
right.
Yep. Yeah. I did want to get to this comment. He said, "Did you guys watch the San Diego game with the Jags? Trevor Lawrence has had one decent game this year, and that was last week. Line is 6.5 for this game, right?
Yeah.
If you think he's only had one good game this year, you haven't been paying close attention. Like
he's been decent. That was his best game. He did miss some throws in the Commanders game, but was better. I mean, week 2 against the Colts offense was just so fucking outmatched. They won that game 20-0. So as far as the time of possession, Mostert's going almost at the time of possession battle that they had in that game. You figure they would put up more than 20. You know, probably some missed opportunities there, but putting up 38 against the Chargers defense. I mean, Herbert wasn't healthy, right, wrong, or indifferent. I really think the Chargers overlooked the Jaguars. Honestly,
they absolutely did. Yeah,
I definitely think they overlooked them. You know what I mean? So that just goes to show, you know, like when you have that, you can't any given Sunday, bitch.
Yeah,
you never know.
Any given Sunday, for real. Like you got to bring it every time. But I think for me to close it out on this game, I definitely think we get the W. It's just the internal pressure, the internal expectation, and that Jalen Hurts is holding this team to, especially on the offensive side of the ball, I think is the biggest determining factor because they're not going into the game on cruise control. They're not going into the game on a comfort level. They know they have shit that they need to work on.
Yep.
So
yeah. Predictions. If you want to do score predictions, you can. But yeah, predictions, score predictions, player of the game predictions, whatever you guys want to give. I think we win. If I'm going to give a score prediction, 24-17, I guess.
Okay.
I think we do win. I think it's a close game, though, all throughout the game. I think it's close. I think there is a point in the game where we're actually losing. I think we will be losing at some point in the game, but then we'll end up on top.
Yeah, maybe 3-0. I think I'm going 23-13.
Okay. You got them covering.
Yeah, I got them covering. It's kind of what the weather's going to be. I don't know if we're going.
It's supposed to rain too.
Yeah,
That's
it's supposed to rain a little bit. Yep.
Yep.
So it's kind of what the game's going to be. But I
run, Teddy, run.
Yeah, you're ahead of me. I can't.
Yeah, how are you this ahead of me?
You're ahead of me, and I'm ahead of Jake.
I'm watching on my phone, so
I'm watching on my Amazon Prime app on my laptop.
Did he get the first?
Yeah.
Ooh, that spin move.
Ooh, nice.
Got the first down.
Oh, that should be.
I like Tua. I don't care what anyone says. I like Tua.
I like
or not Tua. Teddy. Sorry.
Teddy.
Yeah,
I will always love Teddy.
I will always love Teddy.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of Teddy.
Yeah,
I will always love Teddy's knee more than Teddy.
Yeah. But I think we're going to see more of the run game this week. Believe it or not, I know that the Jaguars are playing well, but I put that weather into factor.
Yeah,
just because I don't know if it's going to be like a monsoon or it's going to rain like crazy. It's supposed to be like drizzling throughout the game, but still, I don't know. But I'm going to say we're going to see a big day from our run game. I'm going to say score prediction wise, I'm going to say 27-16 Eagles.
Oh, these scores are so close together. I'd go 28-14.
28-14.
Okay.
I think mine was the only one that was so close together.
I'm going to go 24-20 Birds.
24-20. You're even closer than I was.
I just think it's one of those weird games, man. Like,
yeah.
Just get out of there with a dub, and I'm good. I'm Gucci.
That's what it's all the Doug factor. Like, it's going to be because of Doug. If Doug wasn't the head coach, we wouldn't be talking like this.
No, we wouldn't. Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Also, the one who boos Doug should get their ass whooped.
And it's just like, I think there's too much emphasis of Doug knowing this team, and he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like he doesn't know the coach. He doesn't know the defensive coordinator. Like,
and when he had Hurts was a different quarterback than what we're seeing so far.
What he is now, yeah.
Right. You know, so does he know this offensive line? Yeah, but the offensive line is solid, so I'm not sure what you're going to do there. And then maybe the defensive line, because you know a couple players, you know how Cox is, you know how
Graham is.
You know, Graham is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, are you really going to try to outfox them? I don't know. I think he's just going to line up and coach the game and play the game. I think there's the narrative that Doug is coming back and Doug knows us, or the narrative that Doug has some insight, I think is false. And I think you can see that in the line. I think the line is actually kind of low. You know, I think if you do like power ratings like some of these handicappers do, the Eagles are like in the top 3, top 5.
Yeah,
power
definitely in top 5. Yeah.
Yeah, best teams in the league. And where's Jacksonville? You know, middle.
I think they're like, I've seen them as high as like 13, as low as like 16.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's
so
right in the middle.
Take that into account on a neutral field. How much better is this team? Probably like 4 points.
Fucking Teddy.
What, he threw a pick?
Yeah.
I'm not there yet.
I know. Stop spoiling it.
Stop spoiling it for me.
Did he throw a pick?
Yeah.
Ah,
it looks like a pick. You know, everything is reviewed. It looked like it was
the Huddle
tipped.
for me.
Oh, right to the safety.
I'm watching it all 22 like prime. Prime.
Yeah, I'm watching Prime Vision.
Is it a pick? Was it a pick? Is it clean?
It looks like a pick.
It looks like
Was that Von Bell's second today?
Yeah, that's clean. Him and Gesicki just not on the same page.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, he threw it right to him.
Yeah, right to him.
Yeah, Gesicki didn't even look back at the ball. Just
let's see here. By the way, again, I know we said this before. Prime Vision is phenomenal. Oh, wait, did he drop it? Did he drop it?
Doesn't matter.
Oh, I don't know. Looked like
thoughts on the Bengals white and black?
I like it.
Oh, you mean the zebras?
Yeah, I like it.
I like the
Don't you?
people's
There
uniform.
is a fucking white. It's a Siberian tiger. Chucks, don't fuck with me. Like that's
Don't fuck with me.
that's my favorite cat in the world, bro.
Oh, so you're a Tigertron guy.
I fucking love tigers, bro.
Oh, so you
Oh
like,
yeah, how can I forget? What Tommy, the White Power Ranger.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
the White Tiger. No, I really like their uniforms. I really like the uniforms.
I like that. Yeah. Next time you go to like a zoo or something and you go up to a tiger exhibit, just turn your back to the glass. Just watch what happens.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just watch what happens.
How am I gonna watch what happens if I turn my back to
Just
it?
have Mary record it. She'll probably drop your phone and break it, but
Oh. Any other predictions for the game before we turn it to
do we? I got a question for you. Do we? Well, depending on the weather, Jalen Hurts has now had a streak where he's thrown for 300 yards 3 games in a row. Does he continue to hit that?
I think that's almost an auto bet at this point.
Yeah.
I think because of the rain he doesn't.
Oh shit! Did you guys see what the NFLPA just dropped?
No.
No.
Player health and safety is at the core of our union's mission. Our concern tonight is for Tua, and we hope for a full
Jamar! Get it? Oh no!
Our investigation into the potential protocol violation is ongoing.
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, I think betting that over on Hurts is almost like at this point. I don't think the market's caught up to him yet. So
No.
I think it's a good bet because his rushing yards is probably still high, like 50, maybe like 48.5. I haven't even looked. Like I don't look at prop bets and all that stuff until like almost day of. I know a lot of people.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm the same way.
But I don't look until closer because of just weather, injuries, things that kind of pop up. So,
Right.
but I bet you his line is probably like 48, maybe. You know, let me see
Something like that.
right now. Tell you what, if you boys haven't gotten on Caesars Sportsbook, you need to get on Caesars.
Yeah, I got Caesars.
Good.
Yeah, you need to get on Caesars.
All right, I might.
They got
then.
some decent lines there.
Are their props good?
The same game parlays, you can add receptions. You can't do that in the other books.
Really?
All right, I'm going on Caesars.
Ooh, I'm on. I am
What's
on.
how's they payout? They payout time frame. How's that work? Is it good?
I only put today was my first bet that I put in there. So we'll see how the payout is. Usually payouts have been pretty decent from what I can tell.
Okay.
But their lines are a little bit more comparable to I think like DraftKings. DraftKings has a little bit better lines than FanDuel, and then this
Yeah, I think FanDuel be having the worst.
yeah, I was right on. What did I say? 40. I said 48.5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his rushing total on
Ooh.
on Caesar Sportsbook. It's 48.5, and they have a great special for your first deposit or your first straight bet. I think it's up to 1,200.
Mm.
Oh, nice.
Not bonus, 1,200 refund.
Risk free.
Wow.
Risk free.
Wow.
Yeah, risk free up to 1,200.
Nice. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts right now is at 48.5 total rushing yards.
Nice.
Love
I think I wonder what Miles at like 65, 69.5.
63.5.
63.5. I think that may be a good because his week 3 was so quiet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then with the weather,
Yep. Yeah.
could be worth a shot.
All right, gentlemen. Let's switch it over now to NFL talk. Even though we've been sprinkling that in, let's officially make that transition over to that. But before we do, let's give a shout out to our third quarter sponsor, SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. Our doc, Paul Weidel, has 2 locations in Burlington and Cherry Hill. Make them yours. SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. What do you guys want to talk about? You want to recap any of the week 3 preview?
No.
Week 4?
What did we talk about before we came on?
Oh,
I was wondering when you would bring this up.
No, not that.
That's later.
The
That's
Emmanuel
later.
Acho, Nate. I don't know if you saw this. So
Fuck that motherfucker.
Emmanuel Acho is, I guess Shady said that Jalen Hurts is elite. So he put up, if I'm looking at somebody that's elite, I guess he said French quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts is 9-1. Decent starters, he's 2-2. But franchise QBs like Brady and like he's 0-5. So he said, if just take Jalen Hurts out of it, if I told you this, if this was a basketball player and he makes 90% of his layups, He's 50% from three. He's 50% from the field, but he's 0 for 3. Is that an elite player? Or is that just an okay player? And I said, based off of that, I can see why he's making the argument that he's not elite up until this point. Now, I've also said at the same time, those wins and losses are not only solely contributing on him. There's a lot that goes into that. But just looking at what that is, both Chucks and Jake said that's utter stupidity on Acho's part. So here's the floor. I brought up the conversation, and
Jake, you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Yeah, like I get where Emmanuel's coming from, and I get the argument that he's presenting. However, if you're just going based off of last year, and you look at Jalen Hurts this year, he's a completely different quarterback, mechanically, physically, and just all around how he's seeing the field. He's a completely different quarterback. Now, mind you, I get where he's coming from, but I feel like the argument's kind of null and void when you look at the quarterback this year in Jalen Hurts compared to the quarterback last year in Jalen Hurts.
So, first of all, touchdown. Well, I still have Burrow. So Shady is he's been touting the Eagles and the Bills all off season. We all know he's biased. So that's one thing. All right. The term elite gets thrown around way too easily.
Joe Flacco.
Way too easily. So, do I think that Jalen Hurts is elite? No, I do not think he's elite. He is not elite. You've got to show consistency over a span of at least like a couple or a few years to be considered elite. We've seen too many one-season wonders that term shouldn't be used that easily. So I agree with the ending point, the ending argument that Acho had. He's not elite. However, the way he's making his argument is dumb. I think that why are you looking at several years when again we're talking about Jalen Hurts right now because of what he's doing this year. So if you're trying to knock Hurts down the way he's doing it right now, that's like if 2 years ago when Josh Allen started to be good, if you're like, oh no, but he's not good because he was horrible and didn't play well against these quarterbacks. Well, we're not talking about before. We're talking about right now. Like we're talking right now, he's a different guy. That's what Jake said. And again, what you alluded to is when I don't like the premise of using quarterback wins and losses as quarterback stat. I am against that. I hate that. Like I really, really do. Like it's a team game, and I don't like attaching that stat to a quarterback so easily because we've seen way too many examples of quarterbacks who played well but lose, and then quarterbacks who don't play well and win. There's just way too many of those examples for me to consider wins and losses a reliable stat. And last but not least, he's not playing one-on-one versus those quarterbacks. Those quarterbacks play against a defense. Hurts doesn't play defense. So I think his argument was a dumb one, but I think his ending point that he was trying to make is valid and it's correct. I just don't like the way he went about it.
Yeah, I don't think he's elite yet, but like as usual, that's just how Acho tries to get his point. He's like that one TikTok where he tries to say something like super profound and like over the top in 30 seconds. Like it's always he tries to hit the buzz stuff in a minimal time and whatever is gonna like look fun on Twitter for like a few hours. That's what Acho is. But like obviously like Hurts isn't elite yet. Like you need to at least show you can do it for a few years before you can be labeled elite. Like, guys will have one good season. They're like, he's elite. It's like fucking Oprah handing out cars. Like, everyone's fucking elite. It's ridiculous, you know? Oh, look under your chair. What do you have? Oh, you have an elite quarterback. There you go. Like, a little fucking ridiculous. Like, but the team thing is stupid as shit. They're like, oh, he lost against these teams. He's not fucking playing he's not a fucking DB that Tom Brady's throwing to, okay? He's an opposing quarterback. It's not the same thing. Like, I just think it's a stupid stat, especially considering like he's a year removed from that. Like, you can't. I'm not using stats from fucking last year when he's not the same type of quarterback.
Yeah, no, and I think that was like just such a low hanging fruit thing to use that set of stats to try to make your argument. When there's other stats that you could have used to show the fact that, okay, maybe he may not be considered elite, but just to use such a team-based oriented stat, and that's what you want to come up with? Nah, I don't agree. Nah.
Yeah. I will say this, though, like I said to you, Pete, I do like Acho. I'm not like Mr. Young over there. Like, I do think Acho is smart. I think most of the time he does give good points. I don't always agree with him, and in this instance, I don't agree with his argument that he's making, but I'm a fan of Acho. I think overall he's a good analyst. He might not be some people's cup of tea, especially for Mr. Young, who hates everyone. So I mean, he's not going to like, you know, he's not everyone's going to like him, but I like Acho. This is one of the things I didn't agree with him on.
Mm-hmm. I love AJ Brown. I love Lamp.
Oh my god.
I love Lamp.
Anyways, what else? Any other games that surprised? I finally got to the Chiefs Colts game today.
Yeah.
You know, like,
it was bad.
The fact that not bad. The fact that the Colts won that was like one of those games where like the Chiefs, they just looked like the better team, but somehow they lost.
Mm-hmm.
Like somehow they lost. And it's baffling. But I will say, I told you earlier, Alec Pierce did play well. He had 3 really good grabs. So I'm happy that he's coming along. I honestly think by season's end, he's going to have a really good he's going to be playing at a really, really relatively high level for a rookie. So I like how he's looked so far. Alec Pierce is good. He's good.
Yeah, he's going to be all right.
I
feel like. Do you feel like, between him and Pittman, there's separation, or is there too much redundancy?
It's a good question.
Do you think they're too? Do I think they're too alike, too similar?
Yeah.
Well, it's hard. Like I never put stock into the thing that like, oh, you have to have complementary styles at your skill positions, because I mean, look at the Dolphins. Their top 2 wide receivers are the same thing. Like they are the same.
Yeah, but I think that's different when you have speed versus when you don't have speed.
Mm-hmm.
If you have 2 wide, so if I have 2 wide receivers that both can take the top off of defense, that's one thing. If I have 2 wide receivers that neither one of them can take the top off of defense, I'd rather have, obviously, you rather have the speed versus just, you know what I mean? I think it's, I see your point, but I would just counter that by saying I think it's a little different.
So quick Tua update real quick. Tua is expected to be discharged from the hospital, and the Dolphins believe he will return to Miami with the team.
Oh, great. He's going to play next week.
That's okay. I'm happy you said that, because I'm like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Just because, like, just after reading that, they're like, "Oh, he got discharged from the hospital. He's fine."
If you guys want to get to it, let's get to it. But real quick, Pete, like, I get what you're saying, because I think that you do need, like, in your receiving core, you do need some type of speed on there. Yeah. I just don't think that it necessarily has to come from your top 2 guys.
Okay.
That personally,
I don't know who else do they have.
They have Paris Campbell, but he's never been able to stay healthy. So far,
I think I'm gonna head off for the night. I'm having trouble wheezing and shit. So
take your health first, man.
Yeah, right. Good night, everybody.
Later, Pete.
But let's get to the Tua situation. So we talked about earlier, and a lot of people have been talking about in the chat, are the Dolphins going to have any repercussions about this, or are they going to face repercussions? I don't know, guys. What do you think? Because I think it's pretty common sense that the explanation that they gave about it being his back on Sunday, I think we all know that's kind of a little silly. We all saw he hit his head.
Mhm.
Could the back have been part of it? Yes, but he hit his head, and he was groggy. You don't stumble like that unless it has something to do with your head.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Like, do you? And I know that someone on Twitter posted how Mike McDaniel, as the head coach, has a responsibility to protect his players and should have not let Tua go back in the game. They posted they used a clip of Mike Tomlin, how Ryan Clark wanted to play in Denver, but because of his sickle cell diagnosis, he wasn't able to. Like it wasn't recommended that he would, but he wanted to play. Mike Tomlin refused to let him play because he felt like he had an obligation to protect him. And Ryan Clark had said that, looking back on it now, he appreciates that he did that for him.
Mhm.
So now people are saying Mike McDaniel should have done the same thing for Tua, that he had an obligation to protect Tua as a human being. So I don't know. What is your take? Like, do you, and especially now,
Right.
Yeah.
how soon do you let Tua go back to play, if at all? Like,
Nate, you want to chime in first on this one?
Yeah, it's tough because I think it's not tough, but it's a thing that kind of everybody's a part of the conversation. The coach, the medical doctor, the player. I can't really say. I mean, we're going off our eyes of Tua's concussed or not last week. Could a back injury do that to him? And kind of make him kind of crumble like that? I have no idea. Yeah, I just think obviously, like you said, players' health and safety should be most important, but we're obviously seeing that that's not the case, and the pressure that these players have to perform because they're getting paid millions of dollars is, like look at Dak, right? There's every bit of me tells me Jerry Jones is in Dak's ear, like, yo, motherfucker, I paid you.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Your ass better be out there sooner than what that timetable is.
Mhm.
So there's no doubt that happens. And then not even that, the player was like, he's having his run. He feels he came off a great game. You know what I mean? He's having his run. He doesn't want that to go, downhill and him have to sit. So there's the competitor too. So, but I think they've done a better job at concussions and looking at this, because we heard about the older players and how many times they've had concussions and how some of them are really having problems. Obviously, i.e. Brian Westbrook is a perfect example of that.
Yep.
So, yeah, man, I think it's a thing just to look at and monitor. And I think it's real interesting.
Mhm.
There's more concussions now, maybe because there's more of a spotlight and people are being more vocal about it. Yeah, it's really tough to say, because people are providing for their families and their families. You know what I mean? So when you're in that position, you can easily have a different kind of thought, like, yeah, I can get through this. Like, I've been here before. And then they're trying to pull you away. And then the window's small in the NFL. So as soon as you're out, there's always a dog behind you to take that spot, and you don't want to give up that spot.
Mhm.
So yeah, man, I just think it's a tough spot for everybody around. But shadow of doubt, health, just like Pete logging off here, health is wealth, or wealth is health, or I'm getting tired myself. So I think that's very important, and there should be more programs and things for retired players, for players that have this problem, that should be looked at more. There should be more involved in this than there really is, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the scary part is concussions you can kind of heal from. They had the seizure right off after that. to compound it, that makes it look, the optics don't look good. And I think they didn't do themselves any favors when they said it was a back injury, not so much. I mean, I've had like shooting pains in my back where it drops me to my knees. I'm not gonna lie, that shit does hurt. But coming after that hit's different. If they don't speak about the back Sunday and they just say he is in concussion protocol and he passed it with flying colors, I don't think we had this question. You know what I mean? Right. It's the fact them coming and saying it was the back first when we clearly all can see that as we think it's the head. And then I don't think that you can find the information that he did pass the protocol test this week, but the team didn't come out and speak to that. And then
it shouldn't be public though.
You know what I mean?
Should it be public? Should we know that he passed the test? I don't think so. It's his private medical records.
Yeah, it's kind of a HIPAA thing. But I mean, I guess because you know what though, Nate, that's where I think it does become public record because you have to report the injury report and then the media covers that. You know what I mean? Who's on the injury report? I mean, hell, look at all the implications, not just for regular football. Look at the implications for fantasy football, for gambling. Look how much that injury tonight, him leaving that game, the ramifications from a real football perspective, they probably had a better chance to win that game with Tua at quarterback. But not just that, look at the fantasy implications. I mean, I'm looking at fantasy leagues now where he only put up 2.4 points. Some people's fantasy leagues for the week are shot. Some people DFS for tonight may be shot. Parlays like mine, dead in the water. You see what I'm saying?
So much shit is funny to me. All our money is shot, but this man's head is rolling around.
No, I hear you. But I'm saying that
he messed me up, y'all.
I'm saying that from the standpoint where to speak to your point about should it be made public. There's so many other implications outside of just the real football to why they try to make it public. I mean, just from a moral standpoint, should it be? No. You know what I mean? But is it something that they have to report on in the NFL PA and an NFL agreement that they have to come out with the injury report so many hours before a game? Yeah. Does injuries in football happen during a game? Yeah. I mean, hell, T. Higgins was in concussion protocol for after week 1, played Sunday played the next week against Sunday. So, but obviously his hit wasn't probably as televised. Tua was out there for the whole world. He needed to be helped up and collapsed to his knees again. So it's just kind of the thing. The optics of it do not look well. You know what I mean? So to answer Chuck's question, I mean, listen, if I'm Mike McDaniel, if I'm the Dolphins, regardless of how the optics look, if I follow all the tests in the NFLPA and I have proof of record that after last Sunday's game against the Bills, he went through concussion protocol with independent neurologist. He passed those tests. He took the steps during the week. And according to the NFLPA, he was ready to play medically. Can't control what the fuck happens tonight. You can't control what happens on the field. You know what I mean? So, and even now, the same standpoint, if truly goes to the protocol testing, he's cleared to play next week, week 5. I mean, can you fault the Dolphins? I mean, can you and you brought up the Ryan Clark situation. I think that's a little bit different because of the fact that he has it, and there's tests and there's studies what sickle cell does to you and how you will perform in a high elevation climate. You know what I mean? And the risks that are involved. With this, it's just, hey, if he's healthy, if we find out he passed all the tests and then they're starting Teddy Bridgewater anyway, it's like, I mean, how much of the fan base, the fan base can sit here and say now, oh, don't do this, don't do that, sit to it. But if the fan base comes out, I don't know who they play in week 5. Oh, Tua's healthy, we're playing Teddy Bridgewater. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's not going. I don't think that'll sit well with a certain majority of the fan base. And then even the owners go. Stephen Ross gonna be like, listen, bitch, like Tua's our guy. If he's healthy, he's ready to go. Stephen Ross will go. Owners will go right up to the player and be like, you're healthy, you ready to go? And then what are you going to say to your boss? You feel what I'm saying? Like, because Tua's not, like Nate said, Tua's not going to sit himself out. You know what I mean? NFL players are not going to do that because, like Nate said, it's somebody. Teddy Bridgewater's waiting to take somebody's spot.
Yep. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it's because their window, the average NFL career is what, 3 to 4 years, if that. You know what I mean? So it's like, this is all I got. This is my one shot, bitch. This is my Eminem 8 Mile. You better lose it in the moment you own it. You better not let it go. No, bitch. Like, Tua, like, I ain't trying to go back home and eat mom spaghetti, bitch. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to do all that. But I will say this though. I don't know what it is in that water. Those Polynesians, them Samoans, some tough some bitches. There is some tough some bitches, bro. So it may not shock me that to his bone structure, I mean, he may be all right.
Maybe. I'm sure you listen. I know you listen to Simmons' podcast, and he said this numerous times. He has said it all the time. Like with him and with a lot of players, if they want to go in the game, like they should have the right to go back in the game. Like that's his mindset. I'm not saying it's the right mindset.
Right.
I'm not saying that like
they know what they
know
know
the risk.
the effects of what can happen. Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
and they know the risk and they want to still play and take it. That's on them. That's on the player. So I mean, I echo what you said in regards to this past Sunday. Like if he legitimately passed it, right? If he really did pass the protocol,
Right.
then I don't have an issue with him going back in. What I haven't made up my mind about is the fact that now he's had 2 really serious head injuries in 4 days. And that, I mean, I'm no doctor, I'm no medical professional. I was a pre-med in pre-med in college, and I was really bad at it. And I had to switch majors after 2 years. So no way am I an expert in medical stuff, but 2 head injuries in 4 days can't be good.
No.
That can't be good. And
Potential. And they said Kyle Elliott just said Fitz said that Tua didn't have any effects from what happened on Sunday.
yeah, and that could be it. That could be so. But now how about the second one?
They don't get it until afterwards. Like it might take them a couple of days to have symptoms.
Yeah.
They don't. Some of them don't have symptoms right away.
Right away.
Mhm.
Yeah. I know.
Didn't that happen with like Zach Ertz or something one time?
It happens to a
I
couple.
know Acho, we were talking about man Acho. He's talked about too, like how when I think it was with the Eagles, he had a concussion, went home hours later from the game, and he didn't have any effects until hours later. Like it's he said that it's just different with everyone. So I again, it's this second one that worries me. It's the second one. I wouldn't know
easier, bro.
I wouldn't know how to approach this. I don't know what the correct route should be. I don't know what would be best. I see both sides, and to me, I'm glad it's not my decision because I honestly don't know what the decision should be. It's, it's scary. It really is scary because the players have the right to do it, have the right to, if they know the risk, but at the same time, are you going to tell that to family members of NFL players who are no longer with us that did have CT?
Because
they have to get a way to test to diagnose that pre-mortem.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Until we know for sure, that has to be a factor in all these head injury things. Like I don't know. Like it's a tough call. I don't know how I approach it.
Yeah, Kyle, I don't know. Just getting to your comment, I don't know. It wouldn't shock me just based off how this pattern's gone. It wouldn't shock me if they play him next week.
I mean, you can't say it from a football standpoint that he can't play if he's mentally able.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, he might be out, especially if it was a bad concussion. They might just hold him out.
And
that's what I would do anyway.
And that's, like shit like that, how his head hit that ground and how he went into his body went limp and locked.
That was not.
I've seen dudes lose their life in street fights like that when they hit their heads without a helmet. So thank God it happened on a field of play to where his head was actually protected. It wasn't bare because you know what I mean. That's
could be a lot worse.
It's a violent game. So
yeah, I mean this ain't for the faint of heart.
No sir, no sir
at all.
All right,
what is Alvin Gaza?
All right, Nate. Be easy, man.
Only I just want to say because I know we do the last kind of section where we kind of throw it out there, talk about anything and everything. I think the one thing I did want to add on, there's so much just shit going on in the world, man. A lot of not good stuff. And this podcast talking about Eagles, talking about some limelight, I think that's always a good thing, right? Gives people a release, gives people an escape. But the one thing I do want to talk about that's not getting any press at all is what Brett Favre did with the welfare stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
Like, it is not getting
Like you're not hearing a thing about
about it. And what he did out there with those poor folks, the poor's, I'm assuming, I'm hearing poorest like city, if not the poorest city in the country, stealing millions of dollars from the welfare fund is just ridiculous. He should be in jail for a long time. He should be sued. He should lose it all. And it's a problem with some of the privilege that we see here in this country. That's not headline news at all, right now at all. And the fact that we don't know if he's going to get charged or not. It's still an ongoing investigation. But there's so many different things going on. I thought that was the one thing that in the realm of sports that should be talked about a lot. And I just wanted to say that because
absolutely.
It's not forgivable.
No,
it's not.
It's one of the worst things you can be is a thief.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
So,
and steal from the poor, like for the benefit of your own gain. I think I saw a headline today that said, well, during this time frame, the Brett Favre Foundation gave back to the gave almost the same amount of money or donated the same amount of money to charity.
Yeah,
that's not, and it's not. And for what I've seen so far, they're trying to make that aid take the majority of the fall. But she's facing like 15 felonies, but it was at the direction of Brett Favre.
No, I mean, the text messages that they have is just ridiculous.
Like he specifically says, is there any way this could come back to us?
I know. It's right there.
The rights right now. He should be looking at like 15 to 20 easy.
Yeah, but I think they want to build.
We know why he's not.
Is this Mississippi DA or is this prosecuted? Is this being prosecuted?
I mean, you got to find information. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah,
I think if he's being prosecuted by the feds, then I think they're trying to build it to where he can't fucking have any wiggle room. Yeah. Now, if it's in state court in Mississippi, but I mean, it can't be because you misappropriated government funds. And we're talking federal government funds because the welfare program is a federal program.
Yeah.
So if it's a federal program, then it's federal. It's federal felonies. Mm-hmm. So if that's the case, guess what? I mean, Brett. I mean, everything. He should be abdicated just like fucking Barry Bonds and will never get in the Hall of Fame, but he may be the first player to lose this Hall of Fame. He really should
lose more than that. I'm talking about like Wesley Snipes.
Oh, everything, yeah.
Snipes went to jail for 3 or 4 years for tax evasion.
Tax evasion, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this dude stole from the government. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
All right, fellas.
All right, Nate.
Check you guys out. Tomorrow is the college football podcast that we're doing, so make sure you guys check out. And as always, Sunday live Money Pot, getting this money, baby.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
All right, fellas.
Please be safe, bro.
Shit.
So
change that.
Change it. Just what he was alluding real quick. Just want to talk like we all know why it's not getting coverage. We all know. And it's despicable. It really is to me. But I'm not gonna get too into it right now until we get the okay that we can get into it. But it's really not. I've never been a fan of Brett Favre for some reason. Like I've always seen him.
He's always rubbed you the wrong way.
Yeah, he's always rubbed me the wrong way. Like always rubbed me the wrong way. And I've never been a huge fan of him as a player either. I thought he was a little overrated. But as a human being, there was something about him I couldn't put my finger on, and that's it. You could say hindsight, but literally, I did not like him for some reason, and this is just like, it's
validation.
Validation. My gut instinct was right here. It was definitely absolutely right. Kyle Elliott says the only thing worse than his attitude off the field was his Gene commercials.
I forgot he had Gene commercials.
Yeah. I don't know if he will anymore.
No.
Let's go to No Huddle. And No Huddle is brought to you by Gleason's Bar, located at 6700 Mill Creek Ave in Levittown, PA. Use promo code A2D for 10% off your order. What is it that you just finished watching, Pete, that we wanted to talk about? We just finished watching something.
I just got to watch Cobra Kai, but before we get to that, so another thing that's not being talked about, and this may be controversial.
Good.
The whole Ime Udoka situation.
I don't know anything about it. I just know it's bad.
My only thing, and I'll say this from afar. Okay, so Ime Udoka was suspended for breaking team rules by sleeping with a female staffer, and was suspended for the 2022 to 2023 season, at least, possibly indefinitely. My only thing is, if it's that bad, why not fire him? But more importantly, if he broke team rules with a female staffer, why is the staffer not also being penalized? I'm gonna say it like that. Like, why is the female? And I know Matt Barnes came out and said there's more to the story. It sounds even worse than what it is. So we're waiting for the shoe to drop for more stuff to come out.
Yeah.
But for the Celtics to act so swiftly and take action this fast,
so that they know something happened.
But at that point, why just not firing?
No, I hear you. Well, I guess
why?
it's like that whole what's the word? I guess it's like you could say like it's a whole protocol type of thing to where they remove him for a while, give him his severance pay for the time being. Until
I don't think he's getting paid.
Oh, he's not even getting paid.
But that's to speak to your point. I think under the NBA PA, if they fire him, I think they have to pay out his contract.
Okay. So they're probably gathering evidence now to eventually, if it's as bad as they're saying it is, then they might just kibosh it all together. Because I was reading an Athletic article today saying there's, again, it's all hearsay and whatever, but the thing I was reading on the Athletic, they said it could be as bad to where he never coaches in the NBA again. Like, it's that bad.
Yeah, I read that.
The only other thing I heard was, first, I know we had talked about who it was, and then I think it was the Becky. I just say that Becky.
Yeah, I don't know.
But they, from what I heard was, or what I saw, is that she's a VIP's wife of the organization.
Oh,
so I, once again, it's going to get so cluttered. Bryce chimes in and he says, "How you going to cheat on Nia Long, bro? Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce, man."
True.
It happens.
It happens.
It just happens, bro. It just happens. But yeah, he said the Celtics is wild for leaking everything.
Yeah, it was a Boston report.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, why just not let this man go about his business? Mm-hmm. Why not just fire this man, terminate him, let him go about his business, especially if it's the whole fact of he may never coach in the league again. I see Kyle Elliott says they want him to resign instead of being fired. If you tell me I'm suspended and there's a chance that I could still get paid or I could file a grievance for you, my thing is, okay, do that. Like, I think after this, Brad Stevens' head should roll. Because if it's as bad as what people are alluding to, and he was enabled in this position to do this, and they were aware,
right? Well, that opens a whole other can of worms. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yep.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's almost to the point where I think I would just walk, I would have cut ties, like, just pay him the money. I see Uncle Sweet. It's so true.
I love it. Yeah, no, he's right. He's absolutely right.
It's so true, bro. Mm-hmm. It's so true. It's but that's what I'm thinking to myself. Like, okay, at first you just thinking like he committed an infidelity. You feel what I'm saying? So that's bad enough morally, but now we're getting into other stuff. And I will always say this: the very first report that we saw last Friday, was it last Friday? Wow. Maybe, I think no, because we talked about it last Thursday. May have been the week before. Was consensual. I saw consensual relationship. That was the very first thing I saw from ESPN.
Yeah.
So whoever ran with that first, that's my first impression. So obviously everything that we're hearing now
might not be true.
It wasn't consensual, and it may be even worse.
Right.
It may be even worse, which I'm just like, how is he doing this stuff? And the female never filed complaints, or she did file complaints. They weren't heard. They weren't answered. I just don't know. It's so amazing to me to where he's victim, but he broke a team rule, and it says female staffer, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So did the female staffer not break a rule too?
Again, but
I don't know.
you never know.
So that's like you feel what I'm saying? Like if an Eagles cheerleader sleeps with an Eagles player, isn't it a rule the cheerleaders can't sleep with the players?
That's a strict rule. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
the players can't sleep with the cheerleaders.
Right.
That's not a one-way street. That's a two-way street. Both parties should be penalized.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's waiting for the shoe to drop.
Again, we don't know, just to clarify, as of
I'm sitting here like
29th
this,
of September.
This shit between that and the Brett Favre situation.
Yeah, it's crazy. But as of September 29th, 2020, we don't know much about about the details of all that. So who knows?
Don says, who gets a ring first, Nia Long or Chris Paul? Listen, brother. I don't think neither of them gonna get a ring.
No.
Can I say none of the above?
Yeah, no.
Oh boy.
I
I
mean,
can't wait for the details to come out. That's all I'm gonna say.
It's gonna like pop at like 2 a.m. when we're sleeping.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's when it's gonna happen.
Or like a Friday media dump. I mean, listen, I don't know. This is my thing. I will say this. I don't know what is happening. We don't know yet.
No.
But when what we saw on Urban Meyer almost commit fucking sexual assault, got fired, and is still getting paid from Shad Khan. I mean, listen, Udoka got to do something. He better been doing some old other shit. Like
that's a good point, Sweeps. That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a slippery slope.
It is. It's a slippery slope. Ask Vince McMahon.
Yeah,
Vince McMahon, he appointed a whole chick who lived in his building to some fancy bullshit.
Paid her like $12 million,
and then not only that, gave her a raise just because he said so, and they created a position for her, and he paid her a company funds.
Yep.
Like,
yep.
Is she the one who's hurting now? No, he's sitting at home. You feel what I'm saying? Yep. So it's just, yo, dude, this kid. I can't say keep it in your pants, but you just gotta move smarter, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You got this, but like I think somebody was saying like mind. A lot of times it's customary. I do think you see a lot of men, even a lot of women, they may step out on a significant other with people in the workplace because you just have so much shit in common, especially if you're a coach. You there most of the time throughout the day. You're not with your family. Mm-hmm. And if you're not grounded in your self-control, it's very easy to have a connection or a similarity.
Oh, sure.
A strike up a bond with somebody who have like-minded interests, and it just happen to be of an opposite sex, and they float your boat, even if they're the same sex and they float your boat. That's the one I can't wait for. We'll talk about that after we get off. I'll talk about that. But that's all I have for the bad. I know there's some good. I know I watched Cobra Kai, but I don't even really talk about that. We gotta fucking talk about what we saw 48 hours ago when all my boy posted was OMG, 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 and it was a Twitter link. And then the fucking world got set ablaze by Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. So I think we should end the show on a high note. So let's talk about that.
Oh my God. Oh my God. We talked about it, Pete. They needed headliners.
They did.
They fucking got it. They fucking got it. That's insane. That's insane. That's insane. Like I didn't know. Because you know Ryan Reynolds how he is with his bits and his videos. So like I'm watching the whole thing. I'm like, all right, what's the catch? Like where's the hook, line, and sinker? Like it's coming. I know it's coming. And then he goes, "Hey, Hugh." And I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Want to play Wolverine one more time? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah,
like,
sure.
Right. What?
Yeah, sure.
Oh my God.
I mean, listen. Like we said, the only way they can fuck this up is if he's just in it as a cameo. I need to see. We're not going to see Bone Claws.
No, you can't.
We got to see. We're probably going to see Adamantium at some point, and I think it's not coming out till 2024.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right. So
it'll get here.
I like it. Like we said, they needed a shot in the arm. This may be it. If it's the gateway to X-Men, obviously Fantastic Four comes out that same year.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll just say this, man. 2 weeks, October 12th, the full Black Adam trailer. The bitch says there's nobody on this planet. And I'm telling you, when he says that, if I watch this movie, Lord willing, and it's fucking Superman in it, I don't give a Marvel. Listen, bitch, your shit already
It's
on.
over. It's over.
It's over.
It's over.
It's
over.
over. If you give me Black Adam versus Superman.
That's interesting too, because Superman's weak against magic.
Fuck Black Adam versus Shazam. You go straight to Black Adam
versus Superman.
Oh my god!
They probably fucking editing right Black Adam right now. You gonna bring Wolverine back, bitch? Henry Cavill like, I'm shooting season 3 of The Witcher. Bitch, drop that. We need
Superman real quick.
We need to edit you in right now. You need that blue suit, cut that white ponytail, put that little black do up, put that pigtail on the front, bitch, and let's go.
Yeah. Oh my god, he's I mean, there were rumors out there. There was a report out there that he and Affleck are reprising their roles as Superman and Batman. I don't know how true it is. I just saw it on Facebook and I was like, okay.
It's definitely, if you look at the whole cast, it's a strong cast.
Yes.
It's a strong cast. That first teaser trailer we got in the summertime, I never would have thought, okay, this is the whole cast. I mean, you could have found it if you really needed to, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we saw Joseph Orkowski said he's going to be in his OG blue and yellow costume.
He probably will be.
That's all well and good. Don't get me wrong. Just Logan was so fucking good as a movie.
It was so good. Fuck off, Don.
It has to. I know. I don't want to listen.
Fuck off.
It has to be. It has to be.
You can't lie on the internet, right? You can't lie on the internet.
Do you feel like Johnny Lawrence says? I goggled it. I goggled it. It's fucking. Cobra Kai it was fucking amazing. Do you feel like? Can it just be him? And is that enough? Is him in it?
Movie?
Yes.
Can it just be Wolverine and Deadpool and it be successful?
Not successful. Would it be enough to satisfy our appetites?
Yes.
Well,
because by that point, I think 2024. By that point, obviously we have Wakanda Forever coming up. You're gonna have a new Ant-Man next year. Aren't we getting Blade next year too?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, is that summer 2024?
I don't know. I don't memorize.
I think we're getting Shang-Chi too.
That I can't wait for.
So 2024 is just where we're at. I mean, you're getting Fantastic Four there. It's just, I don't know, man. Like, listen, there's very few people that can carry your brand on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Very few. This motherfucker they got in this all black tight skin suit with a gold lightning bolt on his chest is one of. You can tell me you not a DC fan, this, that, the third, and nothing. Everything this fucking bitch touches turns to gold lately.
Yep.
And you ever want to attach a franchise or a brand to someone and promote it, Dwayne The Rock Johnson is your fucking dude. That's one of the few you want to attach it to.
Yep. And he loves the character too.
Well, if you've been paying,
no CGI needed. The bitch is what you see in the suit is him, bitch. Like that.
And if you've been paying attention to his social media for like the last 2 years, he's been promoting it like crazy.
Yeah, like crazy. Yeah.
You're gonna get his all. It's just one of those things. I mean, I don't know, man. It's that, but that was when you were saying OMG, I was like, what the fuck could be this exciting? And then I didn't even ask you why. I just went and clicked on the link and watched, and I was like,
I didn't want to spoil it either. I didn't say that. I was just like, just fucking watch it. Just watch it, damn it.
I just accepted it.
I mean, it's casually bitches just walking by eating a bowl of cereal.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, sure.
It wasn't even on some more. It wasn't even on some more shit like they was in character. The bitch said, "Yo, Hugh, you want to?" Because that's the thing I love about. That's one of the good things about social media now. Is you can't hide behind a third wall. That's gone.
Right.
So when you lean into that shit, when you lean into it to like, okay, bitch, we know you're an actor playing a character. When you lean into it, and it's just like, okay, well, we tried this, we couldn't really think of nothing. I came up empty, and Hugh Jackman walks out. Hugh Jackman walks out and says, "Hey, you want to play Wolverine again?"
He's like,
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Excuse me, what? If you ever go see the movie, it's a fucking very low budget movie. It's got Kevin Hart, Little Duvall in it. So many comedians. I think it's called Prom Dance, something like something
Prom
like that.
Night or something.
Prom night.
Yeah.
And Lil Duvall's in that bitch with a Jerry girl, and everything he says, he's like, "Come again, say what?" That's how I was like. I was like, "Come again," like rewind that bitch back 10 seconds. Yeah, sure. What?
Yeah.
Well, this shit.
Don makes an interesting statement though too, because like with Deadpool, with how his character is, he can go anywhere. You can throw him in anywhere.
Yes.
So even if it's like a serious DC film, you can just pop him in and be like, "Oh hey, I'm just walking
man.
through. I'm just coming by."
Yeah, like and the thing is from his
you can.
That's what I'm saying. You can put him anywhere. So it wouldn't shock me going forward if they actually do that.
Right.
He's like, "Oh hey,
I shouldn't be here."
He's like, "Oh, the world's ending. All right, I'm leaving. See ya. Bye."
Yeah. And they already kind of did that. So it's like, and when you lean into it like that, they should have did this shit already. The hard thing is going to be is the build up to it.
Yeah.
The lead up to it. Because now, like, it's almost like now we as Marvel fans, what we've been lacking, now you got something to look forward to. Now you got a payoff, but now that payoff has to live up to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? Like you gave us you planted the seed. Now you got to live up to it. To what? Hopefully, I mean, if they get back on a hot streak with Wakanda Forever and they start creating that big picture for us again,
That's going to be the big one. That's going to be the big one. Wakanda Forever is going to be the big one.
Deadpool, the new Stanley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Yep. And
I
you know
mean,
what? I want it. I want that to happen. I want that to
Deadpool
be a
is so
thing.
much now where I don't even rely on him for his actual like superhero abilities. It's just the fucking comedic relief. Is this?
Well, Ryan Reynolds, like it fits his personality so well. Like that's just him. He's just like a sarcastic asshole. And like don't like I'm not saying he's a dickhead, but it's just like that's his personality.
I mean, and you listen, we talked about it. I know I don't want to go back to the Ime Udoka, but I know Uncle Cease talked about give me a hot girl. Like, listen, let Blake Lively start fucking up. I'm just saying. I mean, he was already with Scarlett Johansson, bro. Like people forget that shit.
Yeah, he was.
He was married to Scarlett Johansson, and he said, "Nah, that wasn't good enough."
Lucky bastard.
Nah, that wasn't good enough. Black Widow wasn't good enough. I'm all right. I'll find me another one. But did he ever?
Yeah.
Even after Green Lantern, bitch, and Blake Lively was like, "Yeah, I still like it. It was a sucky movie, but I still like it. I'll have your children."
I like your eyes.
So I mean, it's just anything else?
No.
Still haven't watched Andor yet.
I haven't.
I'm waiting to binge it, but I've heard good things, so
I have to binge that. I have to binge the new Game of Thrones prequel. I have a bunch of shit to watch.
Yeah.
It's bro, it's not enough time in the day, man.
No, there's not.
There's
too many shows now. That's my issue. There's too many shows.
Yeah.
Like I get recommended shows left and right. Same thing with anime. That's a whole different category. Pete knows.
Yes.
It's a whole different category. There's so many good ones out there. So it's I have too much. I have too much shit to watch. There's too much stuff.
Plus football. Like
yeah.
The thing was with football.
You got football somewhere in here, right?
I watched Sunday. I watched Monday night.
You're getting on Saturdays.
I still have to watch the condensed version of all the games because I need to watch all the plays.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I can't miss I need to watch all the plays because I need to see how players are doing. So yeah. And then
Joe, I've seen that. That's so I don't know what you call this. This is so like you always have a doppelganger, right? So what do you call like the person who has the opposite name of you, but it's still like a first and last name? So my name is Peter Evans, obviously, right? The dude that's playing Jeffrey Dahmer is the kid Quicksilver, Evan Peters.
Yeah.
Like, does that have any type? I don't think it has a name. I just think it's just a flip flop of a name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know I don't know if it has a term. It might, but
it probably does. But
I heard it's pretty good. My thing is, it's like the bitch was crazy, bro. I don't need to like. I thought that type of TV is not for me.
I thought it was a documentary at first. If it was a documentary, I would have watched it. But it's a whole series. Yeah, I don't know if I can watch it.
Yeah, it's like, remember the joint they did with Bundy when
Ted Bundy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm not.
I can't.
I'd watch a documentary because it's the actual. It would be the actual
right
events and everything. But yeah, a series I can't. I can't spend all that time.
Why would I be that interested in that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like if you're that interested in that, you follow that. Like you leaning into the darker side of yourself for no reason.
Yeah.
To be I don't need to be into that to be entertained.
Exactly.
The real world out there is crazy enough. Pete asked him how much in there. Yo, listen. Sweeps, I'll tell you what. I know you're a Cardinals fan too. I don't know where you went left with that, but you did.
Sweeps is all over though. He's a Dolphins fan too, so
I still love you. But
how in the world did we get two people on A2D?
You know what he is?
Turn out who live in Philadelphia market who are also Cardinals fans. And I know Chrome's an Eagles fan, but
Chrome likes the Dolphins.
Dolphins fan.
Yeah, he does like the Dolphins.
They're sports mutts.
Twilight level shit. Like,
yes.
How in the world did we find the only two people that live in this area that are fans of those teams?
I don't know. I don't know the real story behind Sweep shit. But so he may have a legit story, and I'm sorry, but I just got like right now on the surface, you just look like a fucking sports rescue mutt. That's what it is when it comes to you're like a fan rescue. Because it's just like you're just into everything, which is fine. I will say this though. The bats in Philly are so fucking quiet right now. You can hear a pin drop in probably in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
It's fucking ridiculous if they do not make the fucking third wild card.
It's bad.
I can't even imagine if they don't, but they're trending that way.
Yep. Oh, the Brewers lost tonight, so they're still alive. Apparently.
6 games left, right? I think 6. They're 83 and
there's 6. Or no, I'm sorry.
They have 7,
there's
but
8.
The Brewers have 6.
Yeah, there's 8, I think, because we have the 4-game series against the Nationals, and then I think that Houston series is a 4-game also.
Right, but the Brewers, all their games are at home, and we're on the road. So,
yay Phillies, yay baseball.
It's better than fucking Detroit pizza, bitch.
Great show. Good show as always. If you're still tuning in for some weird reason, we appreciate you sticking with us. We'll be back next week as always, same time, same place. Thank you to our sponsors as well, especially our main show sponsor, Manscaped. Remember, A2D to get 20% off for myself, Chucks, for Mr. Pete Evans, and for Mr. Jake Frio, and everyone else at Birds of Feather and A2D, which has shows every single day for you. So make sure you catch those shows. We will see you same time, same place next week. Fly, Eagles, fly, go Birds. God bless. Stay safe.
God bless.
We love you. Peace out.
Later, guys.